Well, hello to yourself.
Oh my god, vlog race.
Yeah, we have Vlog Rays, we have Jeffrey Almonte,
My dumbass.
myself.
I actually do.
What
Sean
if the
Magus,
nerd who made this stole the anime pictures?
But yeah, where should we go from here? Want to talk more about libertarianism? Or?
Yeah, basically, you know, I should clarify, yeah.
My daughter's a lot younger than your kids, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not injecting my daughter with something to fucking virtue signal. Like,
Right.
I'm not doing that.
Right.
If there's something that she's of no risk, statistically has no risk from,
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm not taking any experiment on her in that. And that's my attitude
But
toward
it's
it.
amazing that that's controversial.
Yeah.
That even saying that I'm not going to inject my child with the vaccine is
So
controversial.
yeah,
It's
overall,
crazy.
what's your take on
Because
that?
again, we are not talking about even the flu.
I guess I don't need to probably finish it all, but following him. Hello, Nate.
Why, hello there.
How's it been?
Been going pretty well.
Uh,
Gonna get a booster shot tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
uh,
What did you have planned for us to talk about today?
so, definitely what you want to talk about, because those are, of course, interesting things. Do you have a webcam of sort that you want to?
At the moment, unfortunately, I don't. But is this okay, by the way?
Yeah, no. Anybody out who's listening, do you hear him fine? Just so I can know for sure that he is pretty good there in the stream.
Yeah,
sense?
is my audio okay on your end, or?
Yes, it's perfect on my end. Is my audio fine?
Oh, yeah, you sound just fine. Totally fine.
Good, and it seems like people can hear you. Oh, okay.
All right, excellent. So yeah, what should we begin with?
So hold on, give me a second here. I need to set up a different setup here. There.
All right. Actually, there is one question I had for you before we actually jump into anything. Was what was it that motivated you to want to have this conversation?
What motivated me is that I want to kind of start, because you're kind of the first person that I went to really which is weird because there's plenty of people I could definitely do this, but you're definitely an individual that has a lot of things that goes on with him, and you have a lot of opinions and whatnot, and I just want to have a decent conversation with somebody about various things, because from way back in 2013, back when I started YouTube and whatnot, to now, a lot of stuff has changed, whether it's YouTube or just people's viewpoints, or the way you kind of have the same viewpoints, but how you kind of changed how people went to one direction or the other. It's just I want to.
Definitely. I mean, I have a bit of an addiction on my hand. I have a problem with terminal bookmarking, you might say. I've been bookmarking things just nonstop for the past. I've lost count of how many it's been, but I'll go back and I'll find things that I bookmarked, let's say back in 2014, and it's incredible. It's you forget how much has gone on in that time span. People that were active back then, or you'll find a video that's no longer even available. You go on the way back machine, it's wow, the format is so different on YouTube back then. So yeah, a lot has changed.
Yeah, the way people talk about things is so we can definitely start from there. Give me a second. It's gonna appear that I'm turning on my camera here, but it actually is just for me to kind
it's
of
loading for me right now.
Yeah. It's not gonna turn on because I need a second camera for that. But what I'm doing is just so I can have a visual kind of representation of you, and so everybody can know. So it's just not people. Either that or I would be playing a game, which I'm too unfocused for that.
Yeah, it kind of requires a bit of training on the part of the person doing the hosting. I've seen a lot of streamers that they'll play anything from Dark Souls to Metroid or whatever while they're talking or just discussing some topic.
Yeah. Well, I could probably do it because I play World of Warcraft, and when I'm talking, sometimes I just roam around the place. I mean, that might give a decent amount of visual feedback and whatnot.
Didn't you
but,
play that with Brett Keane back in the day?
Oh yeah, that could be something we could. That was funny. Hold on. Still, like I said, Ed, you're the first individual that I'm kind of doing this with, so I'm just adjusting a few things here or there. And like I said, everybody, if there's anybody who we're respectful here, any sort of wacko stuff you're gonna say, it's probably gonna be out the keister, or depending on what it is, if it's just criticism of sorts.
Yeah, I know. I have my fair share of stalkers out there, so
Yeah, there's definitely some people out there, and luckily we don't need to talk about them because it's whatever. And by the way, hey, as a caveat, of anything, if we're gonna go into anything, if there's any sort of topic that I may end up going into, which I'll try not to get into anything, just feel free to say it because I want to have this conversation to be as good faith and like really just a conversation basically, and I don't.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like, as long as I've known you, I've always like perceived you as being a very good faith person. So yeah, I have like no worries about that. But yeah, if anything comes up which I have an issue with or whatever, I'll let you know.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think there's much things you could probably bring up with me that would be like that, but there might be some per se. But anyways, so sorry for the coughing. I of course got the all renowned famous disease.
What, you have COVID?
Yeah.
Ah, shit.
I have not got my
How long have you had it for?
about a week or so ish, and it's been mainly this like congestion in the throat and bad coughing for the most part. But
how old are you right now?
27.
Oh yeah, we're the same age then. Shit, but yeah. Thankfully, we're both like in the safer age, and like, of course, I'm getting the booster shot, like I said, tomorrow, so I want to be safe.
Well,
but,
yeah.
Like, I should be fairly secure, even if I do get COVID.
Hello, RanterInShades, my good old buddy.
Oh, hey, Shades.
No, still.
By the way, is it cool if he hops in here later on? If he's cool with it, that is.
If he wants to, yeah. We can engage in a public discussion. We're obviously going to talk about things. I know Shades doesn't like talk about some of those things, but obviously, it's like I said, I can have a cordial conversation with him about a lot of stuff. So if he wants to hop in later, that's true. That's cool. Because this is almost like a reminiscing party. Like way back in the days when we did the good old Google Hangouts. Like because those were fun. When they weren't exactly super shouty. So let's start off with that per se. Back in the day of the old ranting community, like
about the Hangouts or what specifically?
I guess we can talk about Hangouts and Skype calls because that was the thing that happened a lot back in the day in like the 2013, 2015 era of stuff. And that was an interesting time. For I know you with the Skype calls, I think, when it came to a particular group of individuals.
Yeah, I do remember that. I think I was most active on Skype. I mean, like I hardly even touch Skype anymore. It's crazy. I mean, I still have my account and everything, but I'm mostly like just on social media these days. But I remember I would spend like entire days, it felt like at times, just in Skype calls with people having conversations about politics or just YouTube shit.
Yeah,
I do remember. Like I think the group you're alluding to, I was part of that one group back in the day called the Troll Posse.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being in there with people like Must Destroy All, for example. I remember we made that like 10 days of Troll Posse video back in the day. So yeah, those were good times. It was cool, like meeting a lot of people. Most of which, unfortunately, are no longer really active. But I think that I first met people like Mr. Epsilon through going on there. So that was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I don't recall, because when I sort of got into the whole ranting community stuff, it was during an event. Now, I think you might remember it. You remember R3? Remember that?
Oh my god, yeah, you're bringing up some really old school stuff. So
Yeah.
I believe the context of that was that I used to run I think around like 2013, 2014, kind of like back when the ranting community so and so was like still a thing, which I mean, in my personal opinion, I consider the ranting community as we used to know it dead. It's been dead
Yeah.
for a very long time.
Yeah.
But like at its pinnacle, if you want to call it that, I made a Facebook group just called like Ranting Community or whatever, just kind of like bring in people from that circle to all kind of just like, you know, have conversations and stuff. And my intention there is to kind of have like a fun place for us all to like hang out and get together. But unfortunately there were some people that I remember I allowed to join in there who made it clear they didn't want to make it like a friendly, just kind of like, you know, hangout for people. They wanted to just kind of like fuck around with other people in there and like not engage in good faith conversation. So in combination with that and also what happened with Mitch, that's what led to the entire thing just like spiraling out of control. Looking back, if I could have, you know, managed that group differently, I think that I would have like kicked a couple of people who I felt were disruptive individuals. But yeah, for what it's worth, what happened is that Mitch, um, I know that he made some video, which is the most like over the top edgy shit. It's like the ranting community
Yeah,
is dying.
that was Mitch.
And sorry, what?
I mean, that was Mitch for sure. Sorry if I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, it's okay. But yeah, I remember he made that video just talking about like, oh, these kids are coming in here. It's like the most boomer-esque
I know.
conversation imaginable.
My
And
lord.
it's like he must have been like what, 16? You're a fucking kid too. What are you talking about? But it's like, wow, you're 3 years older than the rest of the people here. You're so mature, my dude.
Yeah.
But I think that after that, like there were a couple of people who sympathized with him, and they all just like branched off and they made R3, which to my recollection, wasn't R3 like an abbreviation for the Reactionary Ranter Reformation?
Yeah, reactionary is really not a great word that's used nowadays, is it? But
I don't think I
I
even knew what
honestly
that
didn't know
word
what
meant,
R3
to be
meant. I'll be real with you. I just knew, for like my perspective, because that's like when really I engaged with a lot of people in the ranting community. If we want to like not count like UTF or whatever, because we could call that the old guard or whatever, and
Yeah.
whatnot. Kind of like I don't know who came before them, but that's when I like sort of interacted with Shades for the first time, and that's when I became like friends with him, and then I became friends with other people, and that's how a lot of people knew me as this cordial individual, because like I made a video sort of like, what the hell is this, you know, this movement like against the kids, and then of course those, if you remember what those kids, the group they made was, it was the Cool Kids Club, which, you know, edgy, very cool.
hmm
Like,
Well, I remember what happened is that like R3, I think that I was like both a part of my original Facebook group, but I also joined Mitch's R3 group. So I was actually friends with them at the time. By the way, like to go off on a tangent for a moment, isn't he like a white nationalist now?
I think so. I haven't talked to him in like a couple of years, but I believe so. Oh, he was
'Cause I
going
remember
on.
like stumbling across his channel. I'm not sure if it's up anymore, but I remember him like spewing the JQ. But hopefully he realized that was pretty cringe and moved away from that. But
I don't know.
anyway, I remember we were part of that. I was also part of the group R3, and a lot like the majority of people in R3 wanted to invite a YouTuber named KWub TV in there, but Mitch was one of the people in there who was not a fan of KWub and considered him a bad
Yeah.
YouTuber. But it's like even though we kind of established that it was meant to be like a democratic group, he was like, no, he can't be in here, no. So I think that, like, you know, at that point in time, if I can go back and do it all over again, I would have just said, you know what, like, obviously, you know, you're going to make this thing whatever you want it to be. You know, it isn't actually democratic, as you say. And I would have just, like, I would have left. But I made the dumb decision at that time to try to take matters into my own hands. And I ended up, like, banning, I think, Mitch and a couple other people from the group. I felt like they had, like, gone out of control. They had, like, overrode the democratic vote. And then, I think I might have invited Caleb in there, but I think that ultimately we felt like it was better off just making a entirely separate group. And that was a thing for a while, and maybe you were in there too, to my recollection.
There was So I don't know if I was in any real group. I know that because you were talking about the respectable ranting community. That was like the group you initially had, right?
Yeah, that's what it was
That's
called.
what it
That
was.
the
And the
real
thing about that group,
community.
because the thing is, I was considered a relatively controversial figure to a degree because, I made videos towards Some Guy 827 and various other people who, was like that and probably was considered a contrarian to a degree. I don't know if I would consider
That's
myself
kind of
that.
what I think you were known for. Like, not
Yeah,
everyone like actively spoke about you, but people were pissed off because like you weren't staying in your lane. Like
yeah.
I remember you would call it like everybody for doing, and to be frank, a lot of people, people I think are better now, but like back in the day, people said a lot of really dumb shit.
Well, yeah,
Myself included. I'll admit to that. Like, I made
well,
those
yeah,
really dumb videos about Smosh, which you called me out for, and which you were right for. But like, in spite of that, like, I still invited you to like collab in my reaction videos. I mean, by
yeah, yeah.
recommendation.
And I
So it's like, I
appreciate
was like,
that.
it's whatever.
Well, yeah, again, because we still had a cordial relationship. I just know, because I have no idea what happened in that group, but I know that I was not like a candidate for that particular group, which felt bad, because obviously I'm not somebody who really wants to stir conflict. Conflict is fun nowadays, sometimes and whatnot, but if I really wanted to start conflict, I could start like a bunch more like beef over some random dumb shit or like go over some of the most ridiculous stuff. It's just it just definitely that wasn't like my intention even back then, I think. And I'm somebody just like you who's capable of making like dumb videos and mistakes, aches and whatnot, for sure. But that's definitely what I remember, or with like the group mentality. And again, sorry for the interrupting cough. It's really annoying thing,
I mean,
that it has
if
to
you
be
got
that.
a cough, you got a cough. You had like take a break and like I don't know, get tissue or whatever. Yeah,
Oh,
go ahead. But I forget. Like I think that eventually people just got burned out with that group. I actually forget how the respectable ranting community ended, but yeah, to my knowledge, like that group has been gone for a very long time. I think that most of the people that were part of that kind of like just burned out of YouTube. So yeah, that was the end of that one.
that's what happened to a lot of people. I mean, that's what happened to me. I didn't upload videos for like 5+ years, years and
Mhm.
whatnot, and like embarrassingly, the last time like I showed my face anywhere is when I went on one of your things, in which I was in which I was completely unprepared because like during that moment like I didn't have really time to explain, like I just accepted because it was whatever. Do you recall that? Like it was like a couple years ago.
You mean
uh
a live stream or a
it
video?
was like a live stream that I was a part of with you because that was the last
Yeah,
time.
I'm drawing a blank there. I do recall. I think that you were in the romantic anime date reaction video, but beyond that, I'm not
Was
sure
that
about any like live show.
did I do that one? I don't remember doing a romantic anime date thing.
Let me
I
look this up. Let me see how like sharp my memory is here.
You might find something on Facebook because that was when you contacted me there. But from what I recall and why it's in my memory because I just felt like shit because of it was that this was during like the start of COVID, basically, and I was on a 3 month hiatus basically from my work, and so for that 3 month hiatus, I went to live with my brother, which means that I was in a place that really wasn't great for streaming. And so despite me having a camera, despite me having like audio and all that stuff, the thing is that I had like loud dogs everywhere. It was really hard for me to speak, and so it just like I really felt bad, you
Ah,
know.
I see. Well, yeah, I forget that personally, but yeah, if you can find that, maybe it'll like
Um
jog my memory. But I found the reaction video in question, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna play this on screen. It should be safe for work. I mean, it's on YouTube.
I
It's been
don't
on
remember.
YouTube since
I remember the only
2014.
I might have done it. Did I? I thought the last one like I did from my memory, and my memory might just be god fucking awful. It's been a while since we conversed over the Facer books, and we could definitely watch something on stream as well. With the
Yeah,
people.
I actually wanted to like play a couple of things on stream when
Oh
we get
wait,
into the Joe Rogan conversation.
yeah, yeah. There's definitely a couple of those things that could be spicy and whatnot. Because I know when we get into that, because I'm pretty sure you ain't a fan.
I used to be a fan, but at this point in time, no, I'm definitely not.
Yeah. When we get to that, we can talk about that because that's I've had the same sentiments basically.
Oh, excellent. Yeah,
see,
I
I think
wasn't sure where you stand on that, but
it was
yeah.
it was around 4/4/20. You know, 4/4/20. God, really? That's when you asked me to do on 4/20. But
Are you working with like your screen sharing option right now, or what are you?
no, I'm not for the video. I was just retorting of when you sent me that message, you know, and you sent me a StreamYard thing. I don't remember who it was for, per se. Like, you know, because you came to me to ask if I wanted to do a live stream. I said possibly. I should have said no because I was not in a position to do that. But I guess that's beside the point. Let me set up this video real quick here. Oh, that's not what I want to do.
All right.
Oh my god, there's a lot of like... I'm pretty sure I wasn't a part of this video. Oh, never mind, I guess I was. Hold on.
Yeah, I put a timestamp in the link, so it should like go to the moment that I...
Oh, okay, hold on. Yeah. God, hold on. I guess, I was gonna play from start, but hold on, let me, pull this video up. There we go. Okay. The video's up, and as we can see, Take Shot Action was in this video. Oh, God, I don't remember doing this. The only one I remember doing, I think, was I part of the Xbox One thing? God, my memory sucks. Holy shit. I'm pretty sure I was part of that one too.
Dramatic reading video, right?
Yeah.
You could have been.
Oh my god,
yeah,
I think I do remember this.
Videos, I forget who was in them exactly. I mean, except for like the most like notable ones. A lot is like I've just like forgotten who was actually part of them.
Yeah, you know, and it was really definitely good of you to do this for a bunch of people for sure. But we're gonna start from I guess the middle of this. Oh man, there's a lot of like people that I remember from in this, but I believe it's around this spot.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Hold on. Do you want to watch this with me so that we can, sort of? Are you watching on stream? It's probably not great to watch on stream because there's still a bit of delay. So if you want to, we can do
probably.
We can do a 1, 2, 3 play.
Like your screen is not loading for me still. It's like a loading little box feature on Discord.
What we can do because if I stream on here, my CPU will just break. Hey, so we can do a 3, 2, 1 play is what we can definitely do for sure.
Oh, from the very beginning?
Yeah, let's fuck it. Let's watch it from the very beginning. You know, this is a blast from the past. Why not? Anime titties, dude. So whenever you're ready.
Oh, hold on. I need to mute the other stream. But yeah, here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
Hello, stranger.
Oh, well, hello to yourself.
Oh my God, vlog race.
So yeah, we have vlog rays. We have Jeffrey Almonte.
My dumbass.
Myself.
I actually do
What
know
if the
this
nerd who made this stole the anime pictures?
But yeah, I believe this was
my 9-year-old sister.
This was a video made by the YouTuber Nyanners. This one, like anime voice actress here on YouTube.
She's
I'm not sure how active they are anymore, but like back in the day, they were like
microphone.
the voice actress. And they made this video about like a romantic anime date, trying to like play into the whole like ASMR trend, which is still going on to this day.
That's hard.
And I figured this would be kind of like good because back then I was like trying to be like an edgier version of the Fine Brothers. So I'd like find stuff that was more raunchy than what they would usually show. And,
yeah,
that was nice.
I sort of almost did a similar thing because I sort of went into the reaction type of stuff with a bunch of people doing it, you know, with some of my stuff. And thing is, those videos do pretty okay.
I'll give you a little snack.
Yeah.
And they're
like,
kind of
reaction videos
fun
even
to do,
today
you know.
are still pretty successful. I'm actually going to be working on the video where I'm going to be reacting to TikTok videos now.
Cool.
Oh, good. What kind of TikTok videos? Just a bunch of fun ones?
This is really
Well, it's going to be a line of like,
Damn
more of the kind of
crackers.
stuff that I already
Right now,
talk
we
about.
literally
so
have a black
there's an entire
screen.
There I
community
go.
out there for
I just said the gamer word there. I said crackers. Oh no.
Oh man, she's
well,
a fucking
maybe that will be
pig
there in
too.
the future, but I was going to say there's like an entire Muslim community and Christian community over on TikTok.
Oh,
And
finally,
they make a
fucking
lot of
images.
really bad arguments for
Babes,
religion
that's
in their
exactly
videos,
what
so
I've
I'm
been waiting
reacting
for. How'd
to a
you
lot
do
of that kind of stuff.
We're going
That
to
should be interesting.
This is the
For
best
sure.
anime date ever.
My goodness.
I haven't really watched that show in a while.
Wow.
But yeah,
Well,
I
I
mean,
know
these,
what
these
that
reaction
is.
videos back in the
Coffee
day,
show?
for WTF reactions
listen
were
to
pretty fun to
Tupac?
put together because it
I
felt
love
like
how
you were
her
kind
eyes
of
are
like,
the same
you know,
size as her
cultivating a
tits.
community within
Fucking
these
Yeah.
videos.
massive.
You know, bring all these people that were all kind of like largely
Alright,
in
I'll
the
tell
random
you,
community
I'm
or
not
on the
gonna deny that I
periphery
would.
of it.
Well, yeah,
And then just
like
have them
all of
come
us,
together.
except for maybe Jeffrey Almonte to a degree, like he was in there.
Wait,
Like I remember all of us
how old are you?
were kind of like
This is
intermingling
like a
with each other for a
nerd's
while, like
fucking
Vlog Race, Take
paradise
Shot,
dream right here.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, like Jeffrey never really
Do
was
you
like
like Naruto?
actively within the community, but like he was kind of a commentator in
Can
his own
someone
right.
translate
So
this for
yeah, I
us?
thought that he was a cool guy,
Why
and
the fuck is
I
her
wanted him to
voice
come
like
into the reactions.
Sounds like she got her throat fucked by like 10 dicks.
But I'm not even sure if he's active on YouTube anymore.
I know that
How,
like he was a part of a group that I was a part of, and you know he
This is
had
fucking
a
hilarious, man.
he had opinions that I probably would more or less agree with now, because again, you know, you
man,
go
I
from
bet
like a
some
shift
nerd is
of
just so happy
agreeing
what
with
he's
whatever,
done
like
here.
Black Lives Matter, you know, like it's one of those
gotcha.
He's
things.
the nerd with the sense
that-
of humor.
Yeah,
gotta
I
give him
remember
that.
like
yeah, I would definitely be mesmerized
back
by that
in
shit.
like 2014, 2015, a lot of people within like
I'm gonna pause the video
or whatever.
so we can
Huh?
because
Oh yeah, sure. we can pause it now if you.
yeah, we are talking about this while we have some fucking anime shit in the background.
Yeah, that is kind of a weird combination there. We can just like cut the reaction there short if you want.
You know,
I was going to say that I remember like back in 2014, 2015, a lot of people were more, I guess, kind of like center right or, you know, semi-reactionary in a lot of ways, myself included in that. But I think that Jeffrey Almonte is one of the first people to kind of move in a more progressive direction politically. Like, by the way, where are you like currently? Like, what would you identify
I would
as?
identify decently as a progressive, more or less. You know, I definitely, I feel like I had a lot of those types of viewpoints already ingrained in me already. So it would have been hard for me to really go to that right direction. You know, about the immigrations and all that other type of stuff. You know, I think I and you were definitely a part of like the anti-SJW type of deal, and you probably still are to a degree, and whatnot. And I would say I'm too.
I mean, I'm not really a fan of using that term because it does kind of feel antiquated at this point. But like, there are certain things out there which people still say and do, which I do think are pretty lame. But a lot of things that I was more like you know, wary of at the time, I no longer have as much of an issue with. Like I remember like being more or less on the fence when it came to trans issues back in 2015. I never had a strong opinion on that, but I was like more on the fence again. But now I'm like pretty like strongly in support of trans rights. That's one example I can bring up. And I think that I generally agree with like the sentiment of BLM, and I do think that systemic racism is an issue in this country. But there are times where like, you know, members of that movement engage in, I think, some unproductive behavior. Like for example, I think that maybe it was just a month or so ago, somebody on their website, their like official website,
I think I know
made an article like supporting Jussie Smollett, who at this point like nobody should be supporting at all. So yeah, you can't like pick your leaders all the time though.
Yeah, the thing with like BLM too is that I think like unlike a lot of certain organizations, they really don't have really a great sort of way to have a leader of sorts. Because you know, saying that Jussie Smollett was correct was like, okay, dude. Like he actually got like convicted and whatnot. I don't know, man. and he is somebody who has like if we want to take into consideration like money and value or whatnot, somebody who could have probably engaged with that. But the thing is that the court systems that we have now today's are relatively fine. Obviously, sometimes it's skewed in the wrong direction. Like I can consider like plenty of other cases when it comes to like what BLM would, of course, rally for. In particular, like the Flando Castell case, I would be very questionable about that court proceeding in how they came to the conclusion that he did nothing wrong. But for the most part, court proceedings tend to be as good as they can be under most systems. Because I mean, we could definitely have worse systems, and I don't know what exactly would be a better system than like a court of your peers. And the only thing we can do is continually try to diversify stuff. Really.
Yeah, I don't really have any like strong thoughts like currently on the court system, but yeah, I think that it's fair to say that things are better than they were back in 1950. But wherever they can improve, then yeah, they should improve.
Yeah.
But regarding like that Smollett article that I was referencing before, apparently the person who wrote it was a supporter of Louis Farrakhan, so that's already a pretty big red flag right there.
Yeah, that's a big oofer goofer. I mean, the thing is that it's unfortunate when people who are like that, are like consider that, because that gives like the other side so much like fun talking points to issue out, when like the reality of the case when it comes to like BLM, certainly the stuff like rioting and looting is more or less not great. That doesn't win favors at all. But the thing is that doesn't happen nearly as often as the peaceful protests. But of course, the sort of the rioting and looting will be more so featured as sort of the thing. Like I think, I don't remember what it was, but it was like was it Pew Research or something like that?
Let me actually pull this up right now because I have a whole bunch of documents on my computer where I just like keep records of like information on different topics, and BLM is one of them.
I knew that it was like 91% of the protests was like peaceful, or like maybe 92. Something like that, where it was like a vast majority. It's really sort of unquestionable that what they were doing was more productive generally. But obviously,
So,
stuff like
tweet from here's a tweet from the organization. It's called the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project, and they found that more than 90% of demonstrations for George Floyd's killing were peaceful. But of course, in right-wing media, of course, are going to be anti-BLM. They're going to ultra fixate on the information, on the moments where it did not get peaceful. But yeah, here is a link. I'll put it in the chat for us if you want to screen share that. That's the tweet in question.
I knew I like read somewhere about that. A second. Right. Clicked on the link, it just sent me to the Twitter.
Speaking of rioting, by the way, what do you think about the January 6th situation?
So it depends on how you look at it. Obviously, it was bad. Like no one will question that. But the only question is whether or not people would be considered insurrectionists and all those other classifications and whatnot. Like obviously, the people who anybody who stormed the Capitol should get their good old comeuppance. It's in the court proceeding. I think I watched like one poor sap get interviewed and basically be sort of given some good old policehoodness, and he just he started from saying that we are just here and whatnot, but then he like admitted all of these things. It was that we didn't come there for that. Like it did seem like that some of it was definitely planned, and so the insurrection angle could definitely be sort of there for like some people.
I mean, yeah, I can't speak for everybody there, but there definitely were at least some segment of people who were there because they felt, excuse me, they felt that the election was rigged, and they were like taking back their country, preserving their country by going in there and just trying to, like destroy the ballots or destroy people. Like there's actually a video out there of people chanting "Hang Mike Pence" over and over again. Like these people were mad at him for not like doing what Trump said and trying to stop the election from proceeding as it would have.
Yeah, there's like, and again, like when I see stuff like that, I would assume like a reasonable human being would go like, "Oh, damn, that's a little scuffed there, don't you think?" And yet what's crazy to me is that you still see people who kind of almost emulate that same messages, still emulate the fact that the election was rigged and whatnot, despite all the sort of things going through that would disallow for anybody really who just looked at anything to consider like the fact that like Rudy Giuliani, all these people when they actually went to court could say we don't have nothing basically because they can't lie in front of a judge. They can lie in front of Fox News or whatever, but they can't lie in front of a judge. The fact that all of these things are just a matter of fact, and yet we can't. Yet people still assert because our former president continually asserts, and I mean this buffoon asserted that the election was rigged in 2016 when he won.
That's the thing about it, yeah, is that Donald Trump tried to frame it in a way where it's like no matter whether he won or lost, he would always come out as like, oh, like I must have won, it must have been some kind of like, trick. I think that even after he won in 2016, he said that I would have won even more had it not been for Hillary bringing in like 3 million extra votes or whatever. But like every single study on election fraud in America has always come up with it being like election fraud being like, I think 0.004% of the vote, like a very negligible amount. Like you have a higher chance of being struck by lightning than finding voter fraud. So,
yeah,
people will fault that because, to be quite frank, a lot of people out there are just stupid. They don't know how to research topics thoroughly, and that isn't always their fault. I mean, the educational system in America could be vastly improved, and yeah, we see that that idiocy in this country does prey on people.
Well, yeah, and what like Shades is getting at, the horseshoe theory thing, and well, I definitely don't agree. Like BLM and whatnot is the same. I do think it's funny, where you have a lot of right wingers who are just going off like, look at all these riots that are happening, all this stuff. But then like January 6th happened, and it's like surprise Pikachu, like what the fuck.
I think it's important to distinguish like the motivations behind people rioting in these different situations.
Yeah.
So, on one hand, when it comes to George Floyd, we have a video, like a 10-minute long video of a police officer, a person in a position of authority, a position of power, pressing one knee on a man's neck, even though he's saying over and over again, "I cannot breathe." Like, I mean, if you live in a country where you can look at this data and you can see that, yeah, you're getting fucked by the people that are meant to be defending you, yeah, that's going to incite anger in you. I think that's like a very righteous thing to be angry about. Now, of course, when it comes to the right, it's an unproductive way of releasing that anger. But I think that those people are right to be angry about the state of their country. But on the other hand, when it comes to the Capitol insurrection, you have these people out there who are simply trying to overturn democracy. You have these people that do not respect the election results that show that the vast majority of Americans did in fact vote for Joe Biden, that election fraud is a non-issue in this country, and a lot of them simply do not care. And by the way, there actually is research out there showing that there is a real divide in this country when it comes to, whether or not voting, the right to vote, actually is a right or whether or not it's a privilege. And here's a poll from Pew Research, which I can give you a link to as well. It turns out that, one moment here, two-thirds of Republicans and Republican leaners say that voting is a privilege that can be limited. Yeah, and conservative Republicans are more likely than moderate and liberal Republicans to say that voting is a privilege that can be limited. So it seems like, we have one side of the country saying that, voting, the vast majority of Americans actually do believe that voting should be a right that everyone can have the right to do. But other people on the other side of the spectrum say that, no, we can regulate who can and cannot vote.
Yeah, that's always been like such a weird thing to me, because again, it's just one of those things that only happens because like when a fundamental question is asked, is there a fundamental question that generally comes from conservatives that is asked, and it is is the world still racist? And one of the things you can immediately point to say yes, because people say no, which is just stupid. People are always going to have their prejudices. I mean, there's a lot of these people who are talking about like how anti-white people are. So I mean, isn't that like a form of racism? Anyways, it's dumb. But the thing you can constantly point to is that there has been plenty of places, and I wish I had on hand. You have all the fucking documents, and I have actually nothing. and but there was it Portland? No, it wasn't Portland. Like North or South Carolina, I think it was, where there was very specific voter restrictions placed in one of those. It was one of those places, or the Virginias. It was one of those South North places. I'm mixing up probably, but I know that one of those places, there were such stringent voter ID or voter restrictions that were so meticulously designed to make sure that black people didn't vote. Like, it was ruled in their own Supreme Court that it ruled down for all these measures because of how meticulously racist it actually was.
I actually know exactly what you're referring to. I believe it in like the court writing said that it was like almost surgically designed to prevent black people from voting. We're seeing the same thing happening right now. We're seeing it in states like Florida, like Texas. After the election of Joe Biden, they're playing into that fear of election fraud and trying to make sure that as few people that vote Democrat, which tend to be black people, from voting in the future.
And what's so funny about like doing stuff like this, like Republicans are very weird to me because they have a lot of voter bases that would vote for them genuinely if they really stopped with this racism thing, like there would be far more Latinos, for example, that probably would vote for them, really, because a lot of them a lot of them believe in the same kind of ideals, I think. But because, you have too many people on the right that's focused on immigration, you have, typically the Southern immigration, not most other immigration. You have people on the right who, just constantly do these types of things. And it's weird and funny to me at the same time, but it's confounding because like the way I always view things is that I like laws that tend to reasonably protect people. When I look at particular things, that's what I see with a law. And when it comes to voter restriction laws, I would like a more so than less than 1 percentile of like votes being considered fraudulent for that to be actually like a thing that we should care about. Because one of the most annoying things when it comes to like dealing with this is that it's just in case, just because, just doing this, that's the same sort of excuse as to why like, these miscreants can like, do bad stuff under the marijuanas and whatnot, the if-ands or whatever, not really having laws that are based on sort of like actual things that matter, Oh, and it's just it bothers me so much because it just doesn't have any sort of fact to the matter of it. And it's just purely because they know the more people who are able to vote, and it's why arguably, Joe Biden won last election because of COVID, because COVID provided a lot of reasons for people to do mail-in voting, in which there was a lot of Republicans who also used that particular thing too. But mail-in voting is a much more accessible way to vote. You know, you don't have to get your ass up and vote. You just have to freaking vote and mail it in through your mailbox at the leisure of your home. And obviously with COVID, that's the best and most convenient way to do it. But it's also just one of the best ways to do it. And there's been little evidence of proof that something like that has actually led to any sort of voter fraud.
yeah, we've been doing mail-in voting in this country since like the 1800s, I believe. So it's been shown
Yeah.
for a very long time to indeed be secure. But because Donald Trump chose to play for so long into this whole, misguided notion that actually COVID-19 is no big deal. It's going to go away by summer. Don't worry about it. So you had a lot of people out there who were no longer convinced that lockdowns were important, who were willing to go out there and risk their life when it came to the situation. But of course, people who are more liberal or more Democrat were the people that did realize that actually, yeah, this is a very serious situation and we should not go out into long lines. We should vote from home. So Democrats were the mail-in voters predominantly, and Republicans were the, go out there and vote in person type voters. And because of that, Trump chose to sow seeds of doubt into the legitimacy of mail-in voting.
Yeah, and I do think like him sowing the seeds of doubt before the election even happened, I would arguably say he might have like led to his own downfall in states that he probably could have won. Because it was very close. It still was very close. Oh, it's why I definitely think that it did matter that COVID happened. Sad as it is, because Joe Biden, I think like he isn't the worst like thing ever, but he definitely wasn't somebody who's like as like much of a flair as Trump, for example. Because a lot of
some people argue though that like Joe Biden's like semi-senile demeanor kind of helps him in a way. I mean, I don't have any like data to back this up, but I can kind of see it from an intuitive perspective why it could be true, because I mean, we've had for so long this like outrageous character who does not ooze any kind of like presidential energy from him. He just comes off highly juvenile. Like there was that one, like I think like either mentally or like physically disabled person who asked him a question who he chose to mock on stage, and people loved it. People clapped for him. But on the other hand, you have Joe Biden, who kind of has this like, calmly down-to-earth way of carrying himself. And I think that for some people, that was more what they wanted to return back to.
To a degree, he definitely, but you of course still had, and this is, despite me being a progressive and what, you had a lot of people on the left and all the other people who still, didn't really choose to vote. But like, I know a lot of people in this particular case, because of how awful Trump handled really the COVID-19 situation, because a lot of people in 2016, including myself, quite frankly, didn't vote really. I think I voted for Harambe and my mom or some shit. Like, I don't know. No, Bernie Sanders and my mom, my mom being the vice president, of course. Obviously, they were never going to win, so I basically threw away my vote. Oh, and I mean, like, Colorado is like generally a left-leaning state per se, so I mean it wouldn't have mattered generally because of how like impactful Denver and Boulder tends to be, even when it comes to really sort of swaying the votes there. But it still is like a state that can lean purple to a certain degree as well. So I mean, that was before I really gave an honest shit about politics and really sort of like understood that like the lesser of two evils argument only goes so far. But the thing is that 2016, I think a lot of people weren't seeing, because a lot of people were like, oh, there's this Trump guy, he's here, he said a bunch of shit, and he's probably gonna do good when he's in. 4 years later, and we're going, no, that didn't happen. Oh no, he's still the same. Oh boy, he did a lot of stuff to get what he wanted, like go on like government shutdowns to build that wall. Like, holy shit, like it's
To return for a moment, by the way, back to the conversation over the insurrection. We were talking a while ago as well about racism. I was curious if you can pull up that last link that I just sent you, because it gives some pretty revealing information about the motivations of people who actually try to storm the Capitol.
Let's see. A new study draws line from January 6 to Charlottesville.
So yeah, you remember Charlottesville, right?
Yes, Charlottesville was not a greatest moment for America when there's a bunch of people, saying, the Jews were having places, like holy crap.
But yeah, here's one interesting segment which I've chosen to highlight here. So it says that C-Post, which was like this one like research organization, they conducted 2 independent surveys in February and March, including a National Opinion Research Council survey to help understand the roots of this rage regarding in regards to the insurrection. One driver overwhelmingly stood out: fear of the quote Great Replacement. Great Replacement theory has achieved iconic status with white nationalists and holds that minorities are progressively replacing white populations due to mass immigration policies and low birth rates. Now, what did Trump run on from the very beginning? They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists. This played directly into what these people feared. They feared a bunch of non-white people coming into this country and, in their minds, replacing them. So it goes on to say, extensive social media exposure in the second business is the second biggest driver of this view, our surveys found. Replacement theory might help explain why such a high percentage of rioters hail from countries with fast-rising non-white populations. So they found that a lot of these people that actually went to the Capitol building, they did not come from hard red states. They actually came from more blue states that had an increasing non-white population, and they looked around and they felt like, oh my God, we're being replaced right now. So that was a big motivation for them. It just comes down to they're racist.
Give me a second. I have to get rid of an individual in chat. But
oh my God.
Yeah.
I see that.
Hold on. Where's my chat thing? Oh my lord, they just went off.
Yeah. These spam bots. I've been seeing them every now and again below YouTube videos.
Pretty sure since they just
on occasion my own too. So
yeah,
I'm kind of shocked they've come onto this chat of all things. But
well, no, I think they just seem to just find just even the smallest things because they're more noticed on here, I would assume. Oh, and Shades, if you want to deal with these and whatnot, I'll make you moderator. Should have done that before. So you're moderator. You should be able to handle those things, Shades. Appreciate you. Love you. Okay.
Mod in Shades.
Mod in Shades. Hey, but sorry, what were we talking about? That was my bad.
We were talking about Donald Trump and also the insurrection.
Yes, and because the thing I wanted to add, because the Great Replacement was funny, is that last week I actually watched, because I didn't actually watch this particular debate between JonTron and Destiny.
Oh, fuck yeah, that conversation.
And the thing is that was the biggest thing, the white replacement shit. Was the biggest thing that was sort of, I think, really sunk JonTron down into a hole that he couldn't crawl out of, because that was the whole thing.
I mean, at this point in time, as far as I can tell, JonTron's YouTube channel is still, thriving to this day. I mean, I think that he lost maybe 5K subs after that thing happened, but he bounced back really fast. But it's like a permanent mark on his record that in that conversation he was spewing the kind of things you would hear right off of 4chan's poll. It was nothing but white genocide, Great Replacement, conspiratorial thinking.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, it was because I didn't originally, I guess, watch that. I just heard bits and pieces back in the day, and then I heard not too great things about Destiny or whatever. And the few times I did listen to him, I was not really sorry about the dogs in the background. If you hear that, but
no, we're talking about dog whistles, so yeah, you're gonna have dogs going off in the background.
We will.
But that's the thing, is that you'll notice after that conversation happened, you had a lot of these more, let's say, right-leaning individuals on Twitter, on YouTube, who were not really interested in actually engaging directly with that debate they had between JonTron and Destiny. They had more of an interest in doing everything they could to make Destiny look awful, like finding
Yeah.
clips of him saying, like awkward stuff. Because like that did make him look awful. That made that idea look ridiculous. So they had to do everything they could to try to improve PR for their side.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, JonTron, I think, like, I mean, he goes MIA when making videos anyways, but, like, that's why something like this really wasn't going to affect him, because when you realize, because people say, oh, I got the cancel. Now, if you get, like, fucking perma removed from Twitter, probably, and whatnot, but that didn't happen to JonTron. The biggest thing that happened to JonTron is his removal from that ukulele video game, which, in all intents and purposes, that game didn't do super great, so, I mean,
I didn't actually call that, but it was pretty inconsequential. He had a small little soundbite of audio, I think, for one little character, but beyond that, it wasn't a big mark on his.
But yeah, he wasn't really truly canceled. You have to be I don't know. Do you know an individual known as Nick Fuentes?
Very unfortunately, yeah, I know about the Catboy guy.
Yeah,
but
but
I seen that, by the way, he was subpoenaed recently by the U.S. government. They want him to stand trial.
I think I saw a clip
in the insurrection
of him saying certain things that maybe could be considered incitement of sorts.
Yeah,
because he was at the insurrection when it happened. But I mean,
it's important to realize that months before. I think even before the election results came in, he was going across the country, and he was encouraging people if Trump loses, stand your ground, do not stand for Joe Biden winning. And it led him right to Washington D.C. and he just perpetuated that. There's actually a video that I put up on my Twitter account where it's him pointing a finger at the Capitol building, saying look at that, we've got into the Capitol, say bye to the Capitol Police. So just kind of playing into what was going on as it was happening.
Yeah, so I mean, him getting sort of that particular treatment doesn't exactly surprise me. But I mean, I mentioned him as an example of somebody who's been basically yeeted off of every platform and whatnot, and is on this very scuffed sort of platform that it's called Cuddly something, or it's something weird like that.
It's called Cozy TV. It's a bunch of him and his internet buddies. They all kind of collaborate on there.
Yeah.
The thing is that Nick Fuentes, I gotta say, the guy's done an incredible job preserving a platform for himself in spite of being banned from virtually everything he tries to touch. I know that he's been banned, Facebook, Twitter, you name it. I think that he was trying to, migrate his following over to TikTok for a while, but within a month, TikTok said, nope, we're not touching that. Not a good look. And but now I think he's still on Gab, he's still on Cozy. That's his hangout now.
And I mean, this definitely brings the question on, what goes too far when it comes to particular censorship and whatnot. And you have to ask the question on, is it better or worse to have these types of ideas to be thrown out there? And the thing is, when you look at how shit turns out, it does seem to turn out that having people like Nick Fuentes posting their bullshit, it really disallows for people to really engage with that type of crowd in a, positive, retroactive manner that allows for people to not be with that. The only time I can see stuff like that happen is if I don't know, Nick Fuentes is looked like a dumbass when he's debating somebody like Destiny or something, in where people can I honestly see that type of stuff. But when you are engaging with these types of ideas on Twitter or whatever, things I think don't exactly translate well. So, the idea of removing people, I think, is actually something I used to be against, of removing people from Twitter or something like that. But it's something that I think has to be done relatively well and not really done with a wide sweeping brush. But somebody like Nick Fuentes, who has an audience and stuff that he can gather around and sort of be able to puppeteer, if you will, that's the sort of idea. Same thing goes for somebody like Alex Jones. you know, like if people seriously took Alex Jones not seriously, you know, then like you know, more power to him. But he got fucking in court bopped up because of the whole Sandy Hook shit. You know, because people who watched his stuff, you know, and even though he's like, oh, you know, I didn't. Damn it, I would do a better Alex Jones impression if I didn't have this fucking cough. But you know, like it wasn't me. You know, this was an entertainment show. You know, or that stuff. And it turns out that a lot of people believed him, and what they ended up doing is, you know, sending all these various amounts of fucked shit, really, to the parents of these kids. Like, what the fuck? Because they believe
regarding the whole cancellation issue and about like, you know, just trying to debate people. You're familiar with my bullshit busted videos, right?
Yes, as you'd have to remind me distinctly when it comes to that, which one you might be referring to.
Well, like, I mean, like the entire show.
Yeah.
But like, you know, I make these videos where I try to like, you know, be as thorough as possible and debunk different ideas, like when it comes to chemtrails or so-called crisis actors.
Yeah.
Provide evidence for every single thing and just to show without a shadow of a doubt that no, this thing is not what they're claiming it is. And in spite of that, the vast majority of comments that I get from the conspiratorial crowd is, how much are they paying you, Nate? You know, you're a shill, you're a sheep, or whatever. It's like, it's nice to think in your head that you can just like show people facts and they'll change their mind. But a lot of people like will dig their heels into a position, and no amount of evidence will change their mind. And there's actually like research showing there's this thing called the backfire effect, where if you try to correct misinformation, it can make some people believe in it even stronger than before. So yeah, I reject this notion. There's like no foundation for the belief that, oh, just the battlefield of ideas will make things go the right way. People will just like, you know, fall in line with the truth. No, some people are just like, you know, dedicated to misinformation. And in regards to cancellation, I mean, there is a historical precedent. There's a historical precedent, I mean, for doing so. Have you ever heard of a man named Father Coughlin?
I might have, but you're gonna need to remind me because that sounds familiar, but probably not.
So long story short, Father Coughlin was this fascist radio preacher back in the 1930s and 40s, and he was an anti-Semite. He was a supporter of people like Mussolini, Adolf Hitler, and you know, this was during the time when America was trying to get support for the war effort against the Axis powers. Father Coughlin was, you know, promoting a message antithetical to American interests right there. So what happened was you had the radio stations which were hosting him, and you had FDR himself intervene and say, no, we're taking you off the airwaves because you are detrimental to our ability to win in this war. So that right there is an example. Like, if you are engaging in rhetoric which is, you know, has a high potential for destruction, then yeah, in that kind of situation, yeah, it is necessary that we prevent you from spreading a bad idea.
Yeah, and was that the government who had him not do that?
It was kind of a combination of factors. It was like part public, part private industry, kind of like working together and saying, you know, this guy has gone too far. This is a guy who had like literally millions of people who he had the power to influence with his radio show.
Yeah.
And you know, amazingly enough, yeah, they took him off the airwaves, and he became virtually irrelevant after that point.
Well, yeah, I mean, radio was one of the few things that allowed people to like get their sort of viewpoints out there, because like back in that time, during World War II, you said, didn't they like it? Was that like the only thing? Because I don't think even like really like decent television, like they had like black and white television, right? But that wasn't really like mass distributed.
I think that TV wasn't really a thing until the 1950s, to the best of my knowledge, really. But yeah, I mean, you had, you know, magazines, newspaper, and radio, yeah. But beyond that, you didn't really have many other venues. But yeah, radio was like the internet of the time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, Ing, right? Because obviously, you know, when we talk about this whole, you know, canceling of people, it has to be done in a way where we are targeting mainly people who are bad actors, and this could be individuals who are supposedly on the left too. Oh, for sure. You know, I mean, one could arguably say that Luis Farrakhan and those types of individuals, those are probably among that side, or anybody who might be, you know, invoking some sort of ideas of Stalin was right. You know.
I'm not sure I'd put Louis Farrakhan in that category. I mean, this is a guy who has a long record of spreading anti-Semitic ideas, and you know, the Nation of Islam. I mean, they would like to make their own ethno-state if they had the power
that is
to.
true.
They actually would invite neo-Nazi groups like to their rallies because they both had a mutual interest in creating a separate, you know, country for their race. So they kind of actually were more aligned than disaligned.
Yeah, like I remember. I think like listening to like a debate that I think it was like it was back when these two were all like mutual. You know, it was like Bosch and Destiny versus like Eric Stryker and this other weirdo. Oh, and whatnot.
Oh,
and
God,
they were promoting like, oh, see, like these black separatists want what we want, dude. Like oh yeah, they do, huh? That debate was a clown fiesta on one side for sure, but yeah, I don't know. Oh, there's I guess what I'm saying with that point, because I honestly think there's more like high octane right wingers that are like found bad stuff, because usually it's the like, you know, fucking 5 follower Twitter communist that's going on about how Stalin was correct, but you still have people who like claim they're on the left, and there's also people who I think are really sort of incredibly negative for it, like what was it, Jimmy Dore?
Oh yeah, that
I
guy.
think
I mean,
I think it's
that guy's
somebody.
a real character. I mean, as far as I can tell, the vast majority of like the left online doesn't like him because that guy's like just dug his heels into becoming like an anti-vaxxer on his YouTube channel, and it seems like he spends the majority of his time attacking, excuse me, attacking other people who are left wing, but from like a left wing perspective. But spends
Yeah.
very, very little time actually going after right wingers on his platform. So it kind of makes you wonder, like, you know, where his allegiances actually.
Well, yeah, there was like what was it, a you know who Sam Cedar is, right?
Yeah, I watch him on occasion.
Like he's somebody who's I think maybe a little too left now, and whatnot. But he is somebody that I do kind of respect and whatnot. But he had somebody who on was these types of people we're talking about. Somebody like Jackson Hinkle. You know who that person is?
The name rings a bell, but I'll have to look it up again. Can
He
you
he
remind
is
me?
among the same sort of crowd of people that's like, oh, you know, fucking why can't like AOC and the squad like completely shut down certain votes to get our Medicare for all, you know, basically say that these people should be stupid in order to get what they want. You know, he's one of those types of people, because
Oh,
obviously any reasonable person would be like, okay, Medicare for all, woo woo, but that's something that's like gonna be really hard to pass, and if you're gonna like hold Congress for that shit, that's a big old oofer goofer. Like that's what people like Jimmy Dore and like this person wants, and
so yeah, I actually know now. Now that you mention him, I do know who Jackson Hinkle is. This guy is actually a defender of Assad. The guy who dropped, you know, sarin gas
oh
on his own
yeah.
population. Yeah, Jackson Hinkle's a defender of that guy. So yeah, Jackson
So
Hinkle's a
we could
major piece
actually
of shit.
watch because it's 2 minutes, so it's not too long, like 2 minutes and 26 seconds, because it's like a clip from their like talk where the title is it's from the Majority Report with Sam Cedar, so it's from their angle, you know. Oh,
Mhm.
and the title is Jackson Hinkle predicts AOC will bring fascism to America. So you already know it's going to be incredibly spicy, and you know I'm sure both you and I agree. Like somebody like AOC in Congress is probably great, and the fact that she's like able to bring a progressive voice in there. But there's that
That's the
video.
thing is that unfortunately, like this is a big terminal issue I see on the left is that a lot of people just don't have any comprehension of how the House and Senate work. It's like you can't just. The thing is that unfortunately, the vast majority of people in the House and Senate right now are not going to support Medicare for all. They just don't support it. So even if you force them to vote on it, you know, based on the data, that you're not going to win. So it's a lost cause. Let us invest our time and energy into fighting for battles that right now we do have an opportunity to actually win, and wait in the future when we can vote on Medicare for all and win.
Well, yeah, it's like this really unfair sort of thing to like place on somebody like Joe Biden, for example, or like the Democrats at the moment. You know, there's room to criticize them, obviously, but the thing is, you know, they control the House. You know, they basically can like fucking write that Barney exists, and they probably could pass that in the House pretty easily. You know, like, you know, just a stupid example, but like in the Senate, it's clearly very hard because it's like evenly split at the moment. I think it's 50-50 basically of people who generally would vote either side, and then
so.
really,
And unfortunately, we have a couple of pieces of shit like Joe Manchin and Cinema right now who are gonna like blockade any kind of important bill from getting through.
And that is very true, but of course, I think you would recognize too that those guys are in districts that, you know, I don't know if they would be able to, and maybe I'm wrong with this, but they're in districts where they have to vote in a certain way, or they might not get it voted. But then you're like, well, why don't they consider themselves like Republican to a degree? You know, it's like one of those
a variety of factors. I mean, one part of it is their constituents, but actually a lot of constituents, at least the ones that I've seen from Cinema, are against what she's doing. People that actually went out there and they tried to promote her as a politician. A lot of these people now are saying like, you betrayed us, Cinema. But I mean, I think that if you want to know why people like Cinema are behaving the way they are, the fact of the matter is, Cinema has taken money from big oil like Exxon Mobil. So yeah, there's kind of a conflict of interest happening right there.
Yeah, there's definitely certain things like that. Like I'm not sure with like the nitty gritty when it comes to both of those two. I just know when it comes to you know, trying to appeal to their own constituents and all that stuff, and like I would love to know more about that stuff because knowledge is power and whatnot. But like even with those two being problems, there's still things like wasn't there and correct me if I'm wrong, and it might have been like the greatest thing ever, and I didn't look over it myself because I don't know. I probably should do a lot more of these things, but time is a fickle thing. But wasn't there like for the first time in like forever there was infrastructure bill that actually passed through the Senate that even like Republicans supported, and that actually passed through. I don't know what else was in there. Like, hold on.
I'd have to look into that more. I'm drawing a blank right now. I mean, it could have been like a thing that like everyone just agreed on, but they may have had to compromise here and there to get it through, because I know that, you know, whenever it comes to government spending, of course, at least when it comes to things not regarding war, let's say, they're going to say like lower it as much as possible.
Let's see. Yeah, it was definitely. Well, the thing was the infrastructure. That was something that any politician like says they're always going to do. And whatnot never gets done. It wasn't done under Trump. It wasn't done under Obama, you know. And then under Joe Biden, somehow something like this actually happened. But let's see. Yeah, there's a statement by Joe Biden. Where the fuck is the actual bill? It's on the damn WhiteHouse.com. Like, god damn it. Ruined my life.
That's the thing, is that unfortunately, you know, even though it's like the best thing we have, Google can be unreliable when it comes to like providing you information that's actually, you know, pertinent to what you care about. You think that, you know, like whitehouse.gov, like right there at the very top of the results, but nope, we're gonna get a bunch of crap in there too.
Yeah. And that's why I definitely like do think that the left needs to, I don't know, calm down when it comes to certain things, because there's certain, again, like some people like Joe Manchin and whatnot, you know, deserve to be criticized and whatnot. But like it's why it's insane. Like, you know, if we want to watch this video of like Jason Hinkle's, I'm pretty sure, acting like a fool and whatnot as very definitive proof of like individuals of the left who are so like crazy on how they want to get shit done. Like, sure, I myself wouldn't mind Medicare for all, you know, would be great. I myself probably wouldn't mind some UBI here or there, you know, that'd be great, you know. But the thing is, that's not how shit works generally in Congress, unless like the lefties can somehow get up and like take a stand in everywhere they live, and like vote in representatives that are progressive. Like, what the hell do you think's going to happen? Like, that's the major issue that definitely is persistent here, for sure.
I'm not even sure, like, how much pull do you think, like, in the real world does Jackson Hinkle have, though? I mean, I know he's, like, kind of got his own little platform here on YouTube, but beyond that, like, how much of it, like, a real influence does he have over voter bases?
I would assume not much, because I mean, like the thing is, like, people like that who are spouting all these nonsense things probably don't really have pull from people, because let's be unfortunately frank here, lefties or progressives, I say in particular, aren't really individuals that vote all too often, unfortunately. And whatnot.
Unfortunately, yeah, a lot of people, like, this is part of the thing, and kind of got go back to what you mentioned previously, the whole thing about, like, lesser of two evils. A lot of people feel as though if they vote for a candidate which they have issues with, it's like a kind of like an implicit endorsement of them with like everything they do. But the fact of the matter is, like, there are only, like, in this country at least, there's only like two candidates who can win. One is going to be worse, one's going to be better. So you have to vote for the one who's going to be a net positive on the world and not as harmful as the other one. Otherwise, you're going to be contributing by not voting to potentially more harm happening.
Well, yeah, and I mean, like, it wasn't really like, the thing is that, you know, me as like some typical white boy and whatnot, there's a lot of things that I could say if I didn't care at all, like, oh, how does these affect me all too much? You know, what is Donald Trump really doing to me? You know, whatever the case may be. You know, like, when you really sort of look at the bigger picture, because I mean, this is part of the reason why I think a lot more people chose to vote, because they did see how, like, more of a negative impact Donald Trump really had when it came to like a lot of stuff. And so, you know, stuff like that does inspire people to vote. But it's like you said, it's with this idea that people have ingrained. And again, I was somebody like that too in 2016, very for sure. You know, where I saw Hillary Clinton, this individual that was so unbelievably unlikable. Like, at least Joe Biden has some likability to him, at least to a certain degree, you know.
I mean, come on, you weren't a big fan of Pokemon Go to the Polls?
I love that quote. You know, that's a great quote. Let me tell you,
How could you not vote for that?
Well, it was so hard. Like, thing is, like, obviously, if I went back to the day, I would have voted for Hillary, honestly. But like, I can understand, even with Joe Biden to a degree. But then again, this is with the context of what Trump fucking did for 4 years. Okay, so it's a little less understandable. But 2016, again, I could see a lot of people thinking, why do, you know, this is between two god-awful shit candidates. Like, it's not even a lesser of two evils, it's a lesser of whether or not I want to barf on one of them, you know? Like, that's how I think a lot of people felt. Like, I would say that I kind of almost felt that way to a degree. I think I felt like Donald Trump was worse, or for sure, you know, because he had every sort of negative ideal that I didn't care for, and Hillary just was very unlikable. You know, she said a bunch of cringy ass shit. She came off as somebody who was very disconcerting of the little people, you know, and this is also with Donald Trump too. You know, he also came off a particular way, condescending and all that stuff. But, you know, that's the sort of hypocrisy when I see with things like, oh, we see Hillary Clinton show all these sort of fun features, but then, like, Donald Trump has all these other fun features that are basically the same shit, except, like, freaking tilted differently. I don't know, like that's why
I think part of the issue is that, like, let's face it, politics, like the nitty gritty of it all, is very confusing and not very interesting. You know, when it comes to, like, oh, how do, like, you know, taxes work? It's like nobody really cares that much about that. They may have, like, a very, like, you know, elementary understanding of it, but, like, when it comes to, like, how these, like, different, like, taxes will actually, like, you know, fuck you over in the long run, people don't really know how that all works out. So it is very easy to manipulate people by being, you know, very charismatic and yeah, playing into that to win votes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what really sort of, I think, did give, like, Trump the edge, you know, because he was more interesting, at least to a degree, and he had a lot more news coverage, for sure. And sorry again for the background noise. Hold on, I'm gonna probably deal with that for a second. I don't know if you want to talk to people. Hold on, I'll be right back. Be right back, folks.
All right, yeah. Do you have to do?
Oh.
I see that that Shades. Yeah, you're still modding away down there. You're doing a good job. How you doing, by the way?
Where is it?
Yeah, so right now I'm seeing in the chat we have RanterInShades, we have Sid Vicious. I'm not sure if I see a person named Chelsea Courier is in the chat too. I'm not sure if they're still here though. Not doing too bad. Awesome. You gotten your booster shot, by the way? I'm repping the P Pfizer gang personally. Hey, Sid. Yeah, thankfully, at this point in time, I hear a lot of people online and in real life hearing about, like, you know, relatives passing, unfortunately, because of COVID-19, but I guess I've been kind of like the lucky handful of people where nobody in my immediate family has really been affected by COVID, like fatally, I mean. The one exception being my grandfather, unfortunately had like an accident at his home, and he had to go into the hospital, and while in the hospital he caught COVID-19 from whoever, and he ended up passing. But on, I guess, one positive note is that he was like already pretty old to begin with. You know, he'd lived a long, you know, fruitful life, so it was unfortunate, but it's like, you know, at least he lived as long as he already did. On the other hand, my other grandfather, he also caught COVID, but thankfully he'd already gotten the vaccine, where my grandfather, who did die, I don't think the vaccine was even out yet when he got it, so. But yeah, another reason to go out there and get the vaccine.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
All right. Yep, the dog's been put down.
Yes, gave him the good old yeller. Gave my mom the good old yeller too, I guess.
But yeah, we were talking again about Donald Trump and like why people voted for him, I believe.
Yeah, and you talking about the vaccine stuff too, and that's, you know, that could be almost a thing to transition to. But I guess we could probably talk about that when we talk about Joe Rogan, I guess. But
oh yeah, God, I almost forgot we have to cover.
Well, yeah,
Rogan.
that's what happens with conversations. You know, you don't know what they're going to lead to. You know, that's the fun about them. You know,
we
talk about
the title. We don't have any misleading titles. You know, don't want to whore ourselves out, right?
Yeah. We can go back. We can go back to its the original title. Go reminisce about how people really did make videos about dumb shit, didn't they? But that would be cringe.
I see that, just to speak on that briefly, I do see that Archfiend is still, like, on occasion, you know, putting out content there, his little, like, camcorder vlogs, but yeah, he seems a lot more low profile at this point. So yeah, I mean, like, I will say I am thankful he's kind of, like, moved past the whole, like, YouTube whore thing, because yeah, that was that was a pretty cringy time in YouTube history.
Yeah. Well, it was like a lot of sort of just, you know, weird stuff when you really come to think about it. Like the YouTube horror thing, where they complained about ultimately a lot of things. Like one could say there's an argument for like misleading titles to a degree, but I mean, like even that was like some of the minusculest things you could complain about somebody. I mean, and that's how I almost kind of like built my channel off of, to a degree, was really, because this was the idea, you know. I am the individual that will defend the PewDiePie rationally. There I am. I'm here, guys. Don't worry. You know, but that's sort of the idea, because as even then, whatever you think about PewDiePie now and whatnot, he was still somebody who was just like making video games that people felt slightly annoyed about, with like some controversy here or there and whatnot. But it wasn't like many of the things people pointed out about him, from what I recollect, were really sort of minuscule, and that was the same trend that you saw with a lot of other creators to a degree too, that were big, people like Archfiend, UTF, maybe you to a degree. Obviously not, kicking you in the shin there and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was mainly UTF and Archfiend type of people that really sort of went in there, because even back then I viewed you as someone who could at least like explain certain situations in a better way without really resorting to that stupid type of shit.
But yeah, it's really hard to figure out, like, how much of it was just like they genuinely cared about this stuff, and how much of it was just like very cynically motivated. Because I remember people you had like Archfiend, like UTF, complaining about like, there's the whole reaction video controversy back in the day. There were misleading thumbnails. There was like, oh, you made a second channel? Oh my god! How could you make a second channel? You want to diversify your content? Unheard of. It was the most petty shit.
What about this?
You had people like, sorry, go on.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say quickly, like, I remember people like Muse Productions. They wanted to like spin off and like do stuff, I think, on Blip.tv back in the day, and like,
Yeah.
oh, you want to go over there and make money off your hard work? How could you?
Yeah. Or what I was gonna say is that this funny little quote: "Get a real job, okay? Get a real job. Get a real job, dude."
A prime example of the no true Scotsman fallacy right there in play.
It was such a dumbass argument, because like basically them saying that, these people who have a job being YouTubers, guess what? Might as well just say acting is not a job, because that's like basically the profession, right? Is entertainment is what it is, and to say it wasn't a job, that was among the few dumb things. I think it was when they were like kind of defending Nintendo back when they were like the only video gaming company that was like flagging people or some shit. That's what I think that context of that was.
Yeah. I think a lot. It's kind of weird, by the way, how there was like a lot of like selectivity to like who they'd go after. I mean, it seemed like at least for a while, the angry video game nerd was like well liked among their circles. So even though he was obviously doing things like selling merch, like putting ads on videos to profit off of his work, he wasn't really touched by anybody. But it wasn't until like the angry video game nerd movie came out that they chose to like turn on him as well and like use him. But like to be frank, I think that for a lot of people, it was cynically motivated. I think that a lot of these people, they said, hey, maybe I'm not that impressive, when it comes to my video production or my actual like ideas. I'm going to, easily get viewership by siphoning attention off of somebody more popular than me, be it Ray William Johnson, Justine, whoever, and just like try to like fabricate some kind of rationale for going after them. And I can find it in going after them for, new channel they made, or thumbnail, whatever.
Yeah, I definitely think that's how that particular thing worked. Like, I don't know. It's I thought, damn it, I hate when I think of something and then it suddenly just goes away.
What was it about? About like the YouTube horror thing, or something more specific?
I was going to be piggybacking off of you, but it just completely decided to just disintegrate from my brain. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Well, in that case, want to move on to Rogan?
Yeah, let's move on to Rogan, because that should be interesting. So let me start off by saying that I and I think you probably too used to really enjoy Joe Rogan for the very decent reason that he was somebody who was able to talk to people, from both the left, right, or, people who might be in the middle, your various actors or whatever. And there was a lot of interesting stuff there. He had interesting conversations, like, The one he had with Edward Snowden, for one. I thought that was a really good conversation to have. You know, the one he had with Bernie Sanders, the one he, you know, or like when he gave pushback to Candace Owens. Like, there were a lot of moments that, you know, made me believe that, oh, this is a good interlocutor to be able to, like, push back on bad ideas and be able to still, like, have a platform to have, like, both sides, like, dish out their stuff. But
another good example to bring up, actually, is have you ever watched the conversation he had back in the day with Dave Rubin?
Yes, that was one in particular where I think like he made an off statement to somebody else where he doesn't want to invite people he finds disingenuous, and like Dave Rubin is such a fucking moron, and somebody who is really trying hard. Like he's a try hard to really get in good graces with his own side, even to the point where he's suddenly not gay anymore. You know that type of shit. Where he said something.
Actually, you know, it's like a well-known fact that if you like turn up the audio on any video he's in, you can actually hear like gears turning in his head while he's trying to talk about a topic.
Well, yeah, because he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, which is why he was, of course, a bad interlocutor, because he just let the other person just blabber on while he basically said nothing of value. Oh, but like when he's supposed to be the one who's supposed to be blabbering on while Joe Rogan is just having a conversation, he's the one who fucking uttered like, what was it that, oh yeah, you know, we shouldn't have like safety regulations or some shit, like some dumb stuff.
Well, here's the thing to realize is that Dave Rubin, he is in partnership with this one organization called Learn Liberty. It's this like libertarian think tank, and this organization is funded by now one, the other one died of colon cancer, but now one called the Koch brothers.
No.
These are these multi-billionaire oil tycoons, and of course, you know, these people are not going to be in favor of things like, you know, climate change regulation. So people like Rubin serve as a kind of mouthpiece for their interests, and one of that is, well, less regulation. So Rubin goes on there, you know, peddling these talking points, and one of them he mentioned was like, you know, government bad. We should have less regulation over things like, you know, construction. And Joe Rogan, you know, one of his good moments here was saying that actually regulation when it comes to construction is important to prevent things like, you know, your fucking ceiling from caving in on you. And Dave Rubin just like kept like peddling the same talking points and knocked down over and over again by Rogan. And I think that after that conversation happened, Rogan said, you know what, you're not worth having on my channel anymore. And I think they now have bad blood.
Well, yeah. Well, wasn't there like a pathetic little thing Dave Rubin did of like almost attempting to beg, like, oh, like if only he allowed me to come back.
What happened
or
is,
something?
yeah, he kept like making these little like drive-by remarks. Like, he's such a fucking bitch. Like, that guy, if you criticize him, if you were like on good terms with him back in the day, if you critique him on Twitter,
Yeah.
he'll play this very like piddly game where he'll be like, you know, oh, you didn't say it to my face and you're on my show. It's like, yeah, we liked you back then, but now you're a piece of shit. So yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the same.
That happened with. Sorry, go on.
I keep on interrupting you, and I apologize.
No, it's cool. Go on.
Well, I think like people like Chris Raygun said things to that regard where basically that's exactly how it was. Like, he said like some slight towards Dave Rubin, and
Yeah.
like Dave Rubin went off and like ended up like eating him or something to that end. Like, I know something like that definitely happens, and those types of people, like, you can't engage with those types of people really, you know, when they can't like take any sort of critique, especially. It's just so annoying. Oh, and because the types of people that I like are able to like engage. It's why like right now I'm an avid fan of like Destiny. Like, whereas so I'm not in the past I really wasn't, you know, because again, like you said, I think there was just a lot of things that were said about him that he was some far left whatever individual that just spouted nonsense. But I found him to be like somebody who can engage with conversations, that even in conversations that are like really tough to a degree and whatnot, and he's able to deal with them.
Pretty spicy on Twitter.
He really is spicy on Twitter. He really likes pissing people off on Twitter. But he's somebody who says each and every time he tweets something, he will back that up 100%. So I mean, he's
I
definitely
will say, in regards to his YouTube channel, I do enjoy quite a few of his YouTube videos. I think there's a pretty good job, like, engaging with people and, like, you know, backing up his positions. And, like, whoever he has, like, editing his videos right now, like, they'll, like, pull up on screen what he's referencing, like, back up what he's talking about. So that's good shit.
yeah, that's part of why it's great. I just like listening to his live streams, you know, even when he's getting his shit kicked in, but in League of Legends, you know, it's great. You know. Oh, he's actually pretty okay at League of Legends. I guess I should admit, but
yeah, back to Ruben again for a moment. I know that in addition to Chris Reagan, there's also this one like ex-Muslim activist by the name of Sarah Hayter, who talked about him on Twitter, and he like played the same like game as you did with Chris Reagan. And also Dave Rubin has me blocked now on Twitter because I called him out on too many occasions.
oof, well, I guess should have been friends with him, you know, because that's such a good friend to have, huh?
Absolutely.
Somebody who just engages with conversations in the most disingenuous ways. Like, why not? Why not? You know, having no idea what the fuck they're saying. Like, you know, I'll admit, you know, like I've done in this conversation a couple times when I don't know certain elements of certain things, because I tend to like when it comes to viewing certain situations, I view a situation and there are certain things I don't understand or whatever, and I think that's fine to do that instead of like peddling bullshit. You know.
Well, part of the issue is that like nobody within Ruben's like active following is going to call him out, though. I mean, like, you know, he knows what to say to, you know, make his viewers happy with him. If he brings on conservative voices who will just like, you know, play into this like, you know, culture war rhetoric, oh, you know, like things are going downhill, it's the end of Western civilization. I mean, those like clap like seals. There's actually an interesting like 3-part documentary made by this one YouTuber named Timba on Toast. It shows how you can watch the evolution of Ruben's YouTube channel. In the very beginning, he had on a more diverse range of people, but the people that were more like moderate or more left-wing were not garnering as much attention as he would have liked. So he began to make his like you know, people he'd invite on the show more exclusively right wingers, and that would include people like, you know, Stefan Molyneux, who promotes things like you know, scientific racism and whatnot.
Yeah, Stefan Molyneux. That's an individual for sure. That is goofer.
And there's also this I forget the guy's name right now. It's this one like black conservative, but I forget his name right now. He's like well known for making videos like ranting about like black women and like why he doesn't date them and everything. But the guy's like known for being a very like ardent homophobe. So he didn't realize that when he went on to Dave Rubin's show. But later on, during one of his own live streams, like a person in the chat informed him that, oh, by the way, that guy you were talking to, Dave Rubin, he's gay. And then he went on like a lengthy rant, like saying like, I didn't know, oh my God, I shook his hand. And then he like grabs his hand as if it's like on fire, and he's like screaming at his hand.
Oh God.
So yeah, this is the quality marketplace of ideas that Rubin is encouraging on his show.
Yeah. Again, if Rogan still took to that sort of mantra of like retorting back to people, in the same way he did to with Dave Rubin, and I mean, this has a lot to do with his own personal feelings when it comes to stuff, just like he did to Candace Owens. You know, that was a pretty good oofer goofer for Candace Owens when it came to climate change, I believe, and whatnot. Where he did a fair amount of pushback in that, but then when it comes to this vaccine shit, you know, that is when like Joe Rogan really sort of seemed to really just attempt to find more people who agreed with what he wanted to put out there, and then also like when he did have people who like gave him pushback, he looks almost as bad, because you probably know what I'm referring to, the sort of clip by what was it, that one dude who did like the Zoe Park thing. Whoops, I am fucking up. By the Zoe Park individual, you know who I'm referring to. He had on his show. I don't remember his name. You know, I'd have to go back to your post.
I think I might know who this is. Oh yeah, this is the.
Because he was the one who because they were talking about like children who get the vaccine. I just have to go through your Twitter because
I actually had a couple of links prepared. If you want me to like link some stuff right
yeah,
now.
I would assume you probably have that link prepared. Honestly, that we could definitely go watch.
But yeah,
sure.
back in April of last year, he said that people who are young, people that are like 20s and whatever, he said
Safe to get vaccinated.
if you're like 21 years old and say to me, should I get vaccinated? I'll go no. That's like a almost verbatim quote from the show. But yeah, that Twitter link will show the clip in question.
Pull this out, and then we're going to do this, and then we're gonna this. Where are you? Prone? Edit.
But yeah, let me go back there again. Maybe like.
If you want to post more links while I'm setting this up, because this will allow me to just.
Yeah, I could just like. I see the person who tweeted us out as a person called Alex Patterson. I don't think I know them personally, but let me see if it shows who he was talking to here. Yeah, it doesn't actually cut away to who he's talking with.
Well, I know that in one of the clips. Just this real quick. I guess I don't need to do much.
By the way, can you play audio from the video in question, or is it like not possible?
Yeah, no, it is. Okay. Well, we have to do it the same way we did with the YouTube. The 3, 2, 1 play shit. It is basically what we would have to do. Because again, I tried to test this out before, or just so if we could do that, and it turns out that unless you have like some really decent CPU. Trying to because you have to live stream through Discord and whatnot, and
I see. Yeah, so many apps, but yeah, that is the clip, and then I have a couple of links to follow that up with afterwards.
Okay, so whenever you're ready to do 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, play away.
3, 2, 1, play.
And people say, do you think it's safe to get vaccinated? I've said, yeah, I think for the most part it's safe to get vaccinated. I do. But if you're like 21 years old and you say to me, should I get vaccinated? I go, no. Yeah. Are you healthy? Are you a healthy person? Like, look, don't do anything stupid, but you should take care of yourself. You should, if you're a healthy person and you're exercising all the time and you're young and you're eating well, like, I don't think you need to worry about this.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
But there's a lot of jobs that will tell you need to have this.
Well, that's what's starting to happen now.
People are worried about them doing it for their children. And we talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
There's that you might have to have your children vaccinated. And, I can tell you as someone who's both my children got the virus, it was nothing. I mean, I hate to say that. If someone's children died from this, I'm very sorry that happened. I'm not in any way diminishing that, but I'm saying the personal experience that my children had with COVID was nothing. One of the kids had a headache. The other one didn't feel good for a couple days. Yeah. Like maybe, I mean, not feel good. Like no big deal. No coughing. Right. No achy. No like in agony. There was none of that. It was very mild. It was akin to them getting a cold.
Yeah, and you can have this thing where it's like you were saying, this virtue signaling and this kind of like theatrical display of I get the vaccine, what a good person I am, I care about everyone. But you're like, look, my daughter's a lot younger than your kids, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not injecting my daughter with something to fucking virtue signal. Right. Like, I'm not doing that. Right. If there's something that she's of no risk, statistically has no risk from, right. I'm sorry, I'm not taking any experiment on her in that. And that's my attitude toward it.
But it's amazing that that's controversial.
Yeah.
That even saying that, I'm not going to inject my child with the vaccine is controversial.
So overall, what's your take on that?
Because again, we are not talking about even the flu.
I guess I don't need to probably finish it all, but yeah, that is with that, saying, my kids got COVID, nothing happened, and I mean, he made the caveat of like, if your child died, but it's like, again, a lot of this dismissing of stuff, and like where Joe Rogan when it came to this injection shit, when it came to fucking every now and again a flu vaccine comes out for the flu. You know, people get injected, your kids get injected all the time with this stuff, and there's no fucking backlash for that. But then it's like this idea that this is an experimentation drug, which is just completely not true. You know, it's asserting that this, like, oh, you know, because it only took like how long was it? You know, oh, I don't want to be inaccurate with this. I don't know how long it.
I'm not totally sure. I mean, it was like I think about a year or so. But the thing about it is that like the COVID-19 vaccine was like expanding off of pre-established research into the flu virus. But along with that, like, you know, if there were any like, you know, negative effects, it should be showing up like within the first couple of months of it being out there. And the fact of the matter is, like, you know, you're not going to see any country out there saying vaccine bad, vaccine bad. Like, you know, you'd think that, you know, if there was some kind of, you know, disagreement over the efficacy of the vaccine, it would see like other, you know, rival countries, be it Russia or China, for example, coming out there and saying, oh, by the way, the vaccine's bullshit. But no, like every country out there is unified in the fact that vaccines do work. So that should really show you that, no, this isn't like some weird partisan divide. No, the vaccine is fucking effective. Go get your vaccine.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Go on.
I'm sorry I interrupt you so many times. I'm so bad at that. Like, it's part of my problem. You know, it's bad. You know, you finish whatever you're going to say, and I'll go on my thing.
I guess the last thing I wanted to mention, too, is, yeah, I'm going to put 2 links in the chat, which show that, there are, like, thousands of people who are young who have died from COVID-19 already. And in addition to that, even if you don't die from it, there is still a risk of the long haul effects of it, where you have, you know, like dizziness, et cetera, associated with it. So, yeah, there is still an incentive for getting the vaccine.
Yeah. Well, what else? What the hell was I gonna say? See, I confronted myself again. Yeah, no, it was like, to branch off what you were saying when it comes to, like, if this was some grand conspiracy, like, there would be, it's the thing with a lot of conspiracies, like we were talking about kind of earlier, you know, when it comes to, like, vaccines, and if it was seriously this sort of, like, bad thing, like, a particular government was going to do, people have to imagine, and like you said, that Russia and all these other people had to be, like all together with something in order to, like, really sort of, if it was like a bad vaccine that we're just injecting ourselves, because there's like attitudes like that, or like you said, and if all these other countries are all agreeing, like, yeah, this is some good shit, you know, that should be something anybody can look at and go, okay, you know, all these other countries aren't really like at arms with each other when it comes to this deal, because yeah, you're right, somebody like Russia would probably be the first ones to go, America is very bad, you know, when it comes to this shit, but they're not, you know, because this was like a global effort to attempt to do this, which is probably what aided the speed of this, because a lot of people are saying, oh, this is too fast, but no, people are able to get a lot of test subjects, able to get a lot of placebo subjects, and all these other things, you know, people just don't look at the entirety of the data, or like if Joe Rogan says he does, I think it is very incomplete, or him trying to look for what he wants, and it just allows for just nonsense.
Definitely. And I'm really not sure how much of it is like him just being ignorant and how much of it is him just like trying to play into what he thinks his audience will like. But regardless of how you cut it, the after effects are going to be that people within his following will believe what he's telling them. I mean, they're watching him for a reason. They obviously they enjoy what he's telling them. And right now, I believe, like the most popular podcaster in at least America, right? So this guy has an effect over the decisions of a large chunk of the population.
Yeah, and again, it wasn't like it was like this with him, or seemingly like this. Maybe there's a lot of other conversations I just weren't into with him per se. But there was, of course, I think he definitely just came off as somebody who at least had some rational brain to a degree when it came to things, And then when it just comes to this vaccine, because it just seems like he's coming up with every excuse as to why he doesn't want to like get it or whatever, or like it just seems so weird to me. That he would have like certain people on, like, didn't he have like somebody who was talking about like the supposed individual for like the mRNA thing? Like, I forgot who that guy is. I'm sorry that I'm not having like acute information on this, because
I believe there was like one doctor or whatever that he had on his show who was like talking against the mRNA vaccine. But you got to keep in mind, like, no matter what field you're talking about, you're always going to have that one like fringe number of quacks who like run counter to what like the established research is showing. And I mean, you can find like scientists out there who will say that creationism is real and that evolution is wrong. So you have to realize that the people that Rogan is inviting onto his show, like, they are the exception to the rule when it comes to what the scientists are actually telling you. But yeah,
let's see.
we can go into that more in a moment. But before going into that any further, I wanted to address the thing that RanterInShades.
Yeah, I was about to get into that too. Yeah.
So he asks, do you have any thoughts on Neil Young advocating for pulling music from Spotify because of Rogan? I don't have any issue with that, like, in principle. I think that, hey, it's your music. If you want to no longer affiliate with an organization which you feel is kind of facilitating the spread of misinformation, and more power to you. But I really can't see it actually doing much in the long run. Maybe some fraction of people will leave, and that may be somewhat effective, but it seems like Spotify knows that Rogan is their cash cow, so they'll stand by him as long as he's like bringing in a profit for them.
Yeah, it's sort of like with a lot of this type of stuff, it's like I don't know if I'm using the right I guess fallacy here, but like the sunk cost fallacy for a lot of people, that they wouldn't really sort of ditch a platform arm that they've invested a lot to just because of one particular thing, and they would have to get rid of a lot to, of course, disengage from said platform. And I mean, this comes from somebody who doesn't even really go to Spotify all too much.
That is the correct fallacy.
Okay,
so, yeah,
thank God I'm not stupid and everything. Fuck. But I mean,
I did hear that Spotify is like no longer allowing people to cancel their accounts on Spotify, because they've had like so much traffic saying, "Hey, cancel my shit," that now I've said, actually, no. For the time being, you cannot cancel your account.
That seems really weird. I would assume that you can't like cancel your like actual account, not like your paid for account that I'm sure many people have, because that I think would probably be illegal to a certain degree, like having to be forced on a subscription.
I'll look into it more to like verify that, but that's just what I've like seen people reporting on.
Because I can imagine, maybe they put in something to stop you. That still seems like weird. I don't know if that's because I think like forcing people to pay for something, that seems like some law that's broken. I'm not sure what it is, but I feel like that would be something. And,
it should be. It should be.
If it isn't, it should be. But I imagine what it is probably not having people delete their accounts, that they made, because you can make a Spotify account without having to pay money, I guess. As I'm assuming it's kind of like that. But I mean, if he wants to do that, like Nate said, he has the ever so need and right to do that. But like also Nate said, it's not going to do much unless like you see a bunch of shit happen from like the Spotify community in general, like all these other musics and bands just decided to hightail it out of there. Or it isn't going to happen unless there's a gigantic hiatus. It's really.
I know that there have been, I think, like 2 other musicians who have recently also. I think that Barry Manilow was another guy who recently like left Spotify, or was like trying to call to leave Spotify. And I guess my hope is that this will lead to a kind of snowball effect where more and more musicians realize that it's not a platform which they should, like on moral grounds, be aligning with. And maybe if enough people end up going along with that, then maybe Spotify will just, react in some way. But until then, who knows?
Well, yeah, it's hard for Spotify, right? Because, I mean, if Joe Rogan is, like, pitching in that much stuff for them, like, it's hard for them to really sort of say no to that. You know, and it's hard for me to say that all these platforms are like the arbiter of responsibility. You know, it's not like I think like YouTube and all these other companies are really sort of engaged in their, you know, shit because they want to be responsible. It's because, you know, they got enough shit for it that they have their terms of service constantly updated to be more and more vague. It seems, you know.
This is part of the reason why I can't support the notion of is it pronounced laissez-faire? That's the way you pronounce it. Yeah, I can't support laissez-faire capitalism because like the fact of the matter is companies will put you know, profits before principle. They will do whatever they can in their power to make money, even if it means like fucking over the customer. I mean, you can look back even in the 1800s or the 1700s when you saw these like, you know, bakers in the UK putting a bunch of chemicals in their bread to make it look whiter, to make it look fluffier. But these were like slowly killing the population. So yeah.
Yeah. That's the sort of like we were talking about earlier. You know, when it comes to people being like removed from platforms, where we want a line. We want a line to be drawn where we don't want exactly these platforms to have the particular power per se to really sort of make it seem like it's one thing, but like again, if it's like a harmful enough with Joe Rogan, I think he's like reached that degree. To a degree, like unfortunately for me, I've seen clips and whatnot of all like that one clip there, and I still need to find that other clip. Because it was again from you. Hold on, was this it? Yeah, I found it.
What?
This clip of Rogan of him being
yeah.
being sort of and the dude was Josh Zeps.
Oh god, yeah, that was a beautiful clip because it goes to show like it's just amusing like watching Rogan's kind of like gradually get destroyed over and over again. He keeps like trying to like cede more ground over and over again to Zeps, but tries to like maintain like some grain of truth to his claim. But every time like Zeps is like, oh actually no, even that part's wrong too. And then once the entire argument, even after the entire argument is destroyed, Rogan's like, can we really trust these people? He's like trying to find any possible way to still maintain his argument, even though it's been completely demolished.
Yeah, it was incredibly strange. Hold on, let's see if I can bring this up to get my shit together.
You're using OBS, right?
Yeah, I'm using Streamlad's desktop, not called OBS now, because you know they were in trouble for that. But it's basically almost the same thing. You know, it's why they took the name. But
yeah, I have OBS right now on my computer, but I've never really used it that much. Maybe I should.
It takes a bit getting used to. It's like I'm now getting used to like these Windows things. So I've just been like kind of just talking and like playing the games. Hello, Mortified. Hello. How you doing? And all I'm doing because I'm trying to like a bunch of windows open, and I just need to open a particular one, and I'm just like too dumb. Hold on, actually there it is. Put this over here. Put this over here. Now, that should be good, kind of. There we go.
I gotta ask, by the way, is it a mini fridge behind you?
Yes, it's like I just got this little Mountain Dew mini fridge. Really? Yeah. That I purchased just because. Yes, it's just a little mini fridge. You know, because of my little gamer corner here. You know, because I'm a nerd. Nerd or whatever.
I have one too, a different model, but yeah, I have a mini fridge too. So yeah, very convenient.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. I just got cheaply at Walmart. You know. Damn
Mortified.
Mortified, my squeaky boy. Really good individual for sure. Just gonna do that, and I'm gonna do. There we go. Okay. I think I'm finally not dumb anymore. Okay, just need to slightly adjust this, and I think we should be good. But.
By the way, I have to ask: is the background for our stream like all Joe Rogan's fans?
The background? You mean the what do you mean background?
The stream background.
Oh, I know. They're all my victims, dude. You know.
Uh,
Yeah, hold on. I had to say something a bit more cringy. I don't know. Oh, but I am the Ripper of Skulls, as you will. Oh, you know.
yes.
Did I really do that? I don't know. Some people might say yes, but
But yeah, this is the clip of him talking with Zeps, right?
yes, it should be. Yes, yes, yes. So whenever you're ready, I'll do the 3, 2, 1.
All right. Yeah, I'm good to go.
3, 2, 1, play.
For young boys in particular, there's an adverse risk associated with the vaccine. It's like
Yes.
a 2 to 4-fold increase in the instances of myocarditis.
Yes, but you know
versus
what?
hospitalization.
You know that there's an
COVID.
increased risk of myocarditis among.
Oh shoot! I apparently experienced some lag.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing it too now.
That's a little terrible. Hold on, let me refresh. Maybe they got him.
Boys in particular, there's an adverse risk associated instances of myocarditis.
You know that there's an
COVID.
increased risk of myocarditis among.
I'm back. Oh, I guess we don't get to see the clip because it just they got him. They got Josh Zeps, I guess.
Oh, darn.
He's been fucking canceled. He wasn't canceled
yeah,
for the
I
Zoe
mean, like,
Park
if
shit, but he was
anybody,
canceled for this. Sorry, I'm making dumb
Do you
statements.
have the ability to put a link to it in the live stream chat for them to like look into independently?
Yes. So yeah, let's post that
'Cause, yeah, I'm
there.
not sure if like YouTube will mark it as spam or whatever.
I just need to find where I have. There it is. Well, they shouldn't. That'd be weird. Oh. Mark my own shit as spam. There it is. There's the link if you guys want to watch it yourselves. Even though it would definitely been more convenient if the link actually, wasn't laggy or whatever. But I guess that's just the way that cookie crumbles.
Mhm. Well, I have a different link. Maybe YouTube will work better. So the link that I wanted to show you next was one. This is from August 2021. This is him talking about let me see actually. Yeah. So there was a study which he mentioned at one point during his show, and he claimed that this study showed that the COVID-19 vaccine, that getting the COVID-19 vaccine can actually enhance the transmission of highly virulent pathogens.
Oh.
So he was like trying to convince his followers that, by the way, if you get the COVID-19 vaccine, it can actually make the COVID virus worse and make it mutate more in your body.
Oh no.
It's like a pretty like clear-cut anti-vax rhetoric right there. So the clip you want to play from is I'll actually like put the timestamps in the chat to make it easier. From 108 to 139.
Okay. Damn, for some reason I think like my YouTube videos are just like any sort of videos right now are weird. Like,
Oh, it isn't just Twitter; it's YouTube
yeah,
as well.
I think it's just me. I might have to. There might be some disruptions for the stream. I might have to restart the stream too. And whatnot, because that seems to work.
Do you have maybe you have too many tabs open? I'm not sure how many tabs you have right now on your browser.
That could be the case. Sure. But generally.
But yeah, I guess just to summarize the clip, yeah, it is Rogan pulling up this one study, and he's like trying to convince his followers that this study shows that getting the COVID-19 vaccine can actually enhance the transmission of COVID-19. And what happened afterwards is that the actual lead author, this guy named Andrew Reed, had to come out and speak with different like news sites like Forbes.com and explain to people like, actually no, the virus being talked about in this study is not the same thing as COVID-19, and that the research shows that actually people who are spreading the virus more are
Imperfect.
Are you still there, Skull?
Okay, yeah, no, I'm back. I think we're good now. I had to
All right.
had to do some finagling. We back on stream? I think so. I think it just turned off and back on.
Oh yeah. I refreshed the page. We're still going just fine. I think
Okay.
that we're good.
Okay, good. Glad I can do that to fix whatever issue this is. Just cause a little bit of an interruption. So we can actually watch this video now if we want to. Oh, it is 14 minutes
Alright,
long,
yeah,
so I'm
let's
guessing
play
we
it.
probably
So,
might cut in between here or there. But I just have to do this.
Excellent.
That and yep, right here. Boom. And I already have my thing set up for YouTube. There it is. Okay. You ready? I'll do the 3, 2, 1, and we can
Yep.
go and watch this.
I'm good to go.
3, 2, 1, play.
Imperfect vaccination can enhance the transmission of highly virulent pathogens.
Right.
So this is a scientific paper from 2015 that shows that this is what an important quote: vaccines that keep the host alive but still allow transmission can thus allow virulent strains to circulate in a population. So vaccines that don't kill the virus, vaccines that allow people, like this is one of the things we're finding out about what they're calling breakthrough cases.
Right.
So people who are vaccinated can still get COVID and they can still transmit COVID. This recently happened at the Comedy Store. A vaccinated
All right, so yeah,
comedian
that's the
gave
gist of the clip that I wanted
COVID
to
like
show
12
for you.
different fucking people.
But along with that, the last link that I provided with you on Discord is an interview with the lead researcher of that paper he's referencing. And the part I wanted to draw attention to is, he says verbatim in here, "We're talking about a very different virus and very different vaccines. The details in biology really matter a lot." And then further down, he says as well, "Evolution at the moment is all happening in the unvaccinated. That's where the majority of cases are. That's the majority of transmission. Every time a virus replicates, it can mutate. So the evolution is right now occurring in the body of people who are not vaccinated. Rogan is completely wrong trying to deduce anything else."
Where were you reading off from the thing you linked to me there, so I can just show it to people? I am showing this on screen as well.
Yeah, what you can do, either you want to press F3, or if not that, Control F, and I'll provide the quote in question, so you can just like put that into the search. So that is the first quote, and here is the second quote.
And Control F, you say? Oh, Control F.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the right one? Hold on. Control F. And copy and paste that thing to that. I haven't done this actually.
Oh, yeah, that's what you want to. Yeah, you want to copy and paste it into that little search bar that should appear for you.
Okay. Oh. Okay. Nothing's getting brought up, but I don't know if I'm on the right one. It's the archive just above this one, right? Or is the Forbes one?
No, it is the Forbes one.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
you know what? I could try screen sharing as well and make it work.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that was just the confusion because there's 2 links there, and I think I went to the one just below that. I think.
All right. Is it working for me now?
If you're doing screen share, we could definitely do that because I have to go through some ad blocker nonsense when it comes to this. I'll just disable
I
that.
see. Well, is my screen share working just fine?
Yes, I just have to readjust Discord so that we can see that as well. There it is. Okay. Oh.
All right.
Okay.
I think part of the problem though is that it's like way too low resolution now.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Actually, hold on. We can
minutes still good.
We can adjust.
Oh, there we go.
We can adjust. I just need to adjust some things.
All right.
Just give me a second here. I don't know why this is being weird. I'm a very professional streamer. Yeah, I think I was just not looking on the Forbes one, and they don't like ad block, so I have to deal with that later, I guess.
So yeah, here's the quote that I was going off of right there.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the guy's name again is Andrew Reed. And then the other part, in addition to that, is I'll go to that in just a moment here. There he is saying, yeah, Rogan is totally wrong trying to deduce anything else. But you have this like pattern of comments that Rogan will say over and over again on his stream, just like misinforming his followers about the COVID-19 vaccine.
Yeah, and that's again the disappointing like factor of Joe Rogan, because again he was somebody that had a way. Well, I need to adjust my Discord now again. Had a way to sort of engage relatively well with like the discourse to a very decent degree, and instead he sort of went and done oofed it when it came to a lot of this stuff. Unfortunate when it comes to the vaccines, and again I find that like to be incredibly disappointing because of how it's just he was again the arbiter of somebody who can talk to both sides and actually do decent pushback from people, even from people on the left. I mean, the thing is, even back in the day, he did have some like angles when it came to trans stuff and whatnot, which those are really hard conversations to really have when it comes to trans and athletics, because that's the thing he's really strongly against per se and whatnot.
I would say that Rogan's actually done like a great harm to the trans community with the kind of conversations he's been having. So I know that one person he's had on his stream on a couple of occasions, at least one time to my knowledge actually, is a woman by the name of Abigail Schreier.
Oh yeah,
you ever heard of her before?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know of the conversation you're talking about. I haven't watched that in particular. I think I was like watching a Vosh video, sort of responding to that, but it's been a bit since I've heard of her.
But yeah, for everyone watching, if they don't like know the full context, Abigail Schreier, she is not a biologist. She's not a psychiatrist. Like she has like no medical background whatsoever. She's a journalist, and she wrote a book back in 2020 called Irreversible Damage, and in there she peddled this notion, this pseudoscientific idea called rapid onset gender dysphoria. It was based off this one study, which ended up getting retracted, where they argued that that like young teenage girls, if they had a friend who was transgender, like down the road, it would kind of like a contagion almost convince them to also transition. But the problem, like these were like secondhand accounts from the parents of people who had trans children, and where they got the survey information was from anti-trans websites. So it's almost like saying, imagine if you wanted to write a scientific paper about like, is being gay harmful?
Yeah.
And you got your survey answers from an anti-gay website. It's like you're going to, of course, have it skewed in one direction.
Well, yeah, that's.
And yet,
oh, I thought you were done. Sorry.
No, yeah, I am done.
Again, I need to always apologize for that because I think you're done, but then I end up interrupting. I'm terrible. But yeah, when it comes to that type of stuff, it's just so annoying because like I hear these conversations all the time when it comes to, because again I'm somebody who watches Destiny a lot, and he tends to have these types of conversations ends with these types of individuals, and the same thing with Vosh to a degree and whatnot, and it's always citing these particular sources. And I guess the thing that I was gonna mainly say, because I sort of had another brain fart, I'm sorry, that's been happening a lot lately, it just happens to me. I'm bad, very
it can happen.
Yeah, but when it comes to like anything, like whether it's the vaccines or trans issues or all these things, data is important, to really sort of be able to issue a point. But citing the sources and the sources of said data is always important for somebody to look at. which is why, it's fine to be skeptical of data to a degree. If you're able to actually look through it and not like cherry pick certain things and things that sort of fit your own narrative, which what I think is happening with like vaccines, for example. I think it's not a bad idea to do this type of thing, especially when it can be seen as a harmful type of study to a group of people like trans individuals, and I would assume the same thing if there was like a study on gay people, and you see where these people are coming from when they make the study. Do these people have genuine intentions with it, or do they have some sort of either religious or sort of just negative connotation that they want to adhere with this, which will obviously allow them to get very conflated data, like you were saying. It's why it's important to ask questions, because when we talk about conspiracy, it sucks because that's like the sort of go-to thing that a lot of conspiracy theorists tend to do. Like, oh, we just ask questions. We ask all the questions. It's fine to ask questions, but you need to really sort of divest into seeing like the whole picture of a thing, which is why a lot of conspiracies tend to really fall flat when you attempt to look at the whole picture, and why like when you look at certain data things like the trans one you mentioned, you can see how that something like that can fall flat too, by just looking at it, asking the appropriate questions, and not really cherry picking, because if the whole data set can be sort of really sort of corrupted to a degree because of certain things, and that leads people to honestly say, like, what the fuck? Look, there is a reasonable sort of doubt when it comes to some things. This isn't to say that like everything that comes out of any scientist, you should immediately say it's faulty or false. Like, that is the clearly bad action to really go. You should have a nuanced way to look at these types of things without really resorting to such an extreme aim and whatnot, but still come out with saying like a data point like this trans thing is something that's probably not really as valid as other sort of data points. And yeah,
The thing about it, like, if I were in Rogan's position, I mean, this is a guy who has millions of people watching him every single show. You have a lot of influence over the conversation in that position. You can control the conversation to just like an unbelievable amount. People will go out there on the street for you if you call them to action. So I would be, incredibly careful about what I'm saying. I would be out there, I'd probably hire people to verify information beforehand for me before I go out there on my show and talk about it. But like all he has, and I was the one like pull that up, Jamie. That like is one co-host, the guy in the background who does that for him. But he could do so much more. He's an incredibly wealthy, powerful guy. He could have like so much more going on in the background to correct information, but he seems to just not care. And why should he? I mean, he's making bank off what he's doing. There's like very little repercussions for what he's doing, and Spotify's proving that right now.
Yeah. And like the thing is though is that I do believe like Joe Rogan is just really entrenched with his ideas when it comes to these like things we would consider negative. And it's really easy for him, because this is a typical thing for any American, I would say. There's any like data statistics, but I'm pretty sure like people really tend to look at that first headline and not care to read anything else. When really like when somebody asks like, "What? How can I be more politically efficient?" or "How do I not be wrapped up in shit?" Like, you know what you can do? Really easy. Read the rest of the article, because a lot of people don't do that, and I think Rogan is very susceptible to that particular type of thing too. Which is why he looked like a fool when actually like they looked the stuff about myocarditis, which is what the clip, I'm sure we probably could watch, but I don't think it's necessary, that he looked like a fool on, because he probably just read a headline that he assumed either said a certain thing or maybe might have went into stuff, but had very fragrant data when it came to actually trying to prove what they do. Because again, when you're trying to make something out to be bigger than it is, like myocarditis, you have to like point out like a very specific thing, and then make that thing be like bigger than it is, you know, like saying the vaccine is like terrible because like a kid died of the vaccine when, you know, like I don't know what. Damn it, I would need to look this up myself because I'm not the one coming out here with all the data like you. You know, I only can come up with memory from what I have, which it's something I probably should definitely do when talking in regards to this. But like when it comes to
the human brain is so fickle, it's so unreliable. That's why I like to have like records on my computer of like every topic that I try to research. That I can like go back to it to make sure. Oh, is that actually true? Do I have notes on that? Yeah, I do. So it's the thing I try to make a habit of mine. But yeah, what are you looking up?
Like I just kid dies of vaccine, but not really. That's what I searched because it was in first thing that pops up is a British boy's death not tied to. Of course, I have to have no ad block. You know,
I
for
think
USA
I heard
Today.
about this one too. It's like a 13-year-old, right? But like it ended up being like dubious as to whether or not the vaccine was actually involved in that. But of course, like, you know, every conspiracy outlet like leaped on that one in a heartbeat.
I don't know if this one was the case. I'd have to let's see. Because he got the vaccine and then he died of like certain situations and whatnot. But this is a boy that had a history of like sort of breathing problems and whatnot. And so it's more it would be more or not disingenuous to really sort of say that the boy's death probably resulted in his history of breathing problems instead of the vaccine, you know. And I mean, then you have a lot of COVID people like, oh, okay, what about early on during COVID, right, where they pretty much pronounced a lot of people who died of COVID-19, which, to be fair, is like true to a certain degree because we're still like figuring out this disease and how it like worked out. But I think it's like a bit different, but. I don't know. Oh, an argument like that I can see being a hard one to really sort of throw retort because I do think there was at least some, and you might have something that might actually be a better way to defend this particular thing. Where early on in COVID, there was a lot of people who were claimed to be dead of COVID when they had other sort of symptoms. Was that actually a thing, or was that something that I'm?
Well, it's kind of the thing is that like I think that very rarely like people die of just one thing by itself. Like I remember during Charlottesville, the woman who got killed in that car crash. People were saying online that she died of a heart attack, not of actually the car crash happening. Now, I mean, let's say that for all
Yeah.
intents and purposes that she actually did have a heart attack at the time of the crash. It's like the fact of the matter is a car still fucking drove into her. So it's like, I mean, you can say it's like both, but like we can kind of like narrow it down to the car was like the thing that broke the camel's back for her, or it would have triggered the heart attack even if that was the ultimate cause of it, right? So let's not like, you know, like play this little like game like, oh, it wasn't that, it was that. The same thing with George Floyd. People were saying, oh, he was on fentanyl. That's what it's like. Well, maybe that also helped, but he had a knee on his neck for 10 minutes straight. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because of course there are these other sort of variables and whatnot, but you're absolutely correct. You know, if somebody who has I don't know like breathing problems and they get COVID, even though their breathing problems was like a significant sort of thing for them, COVID probably allowed them to either die or have some significant health, even more health problems is the thing. And that definitely I think was the case here. It just as I do wonder when it does come to this, and I mean this might be hopefully me not really peddling like conspiracy or whatnot, because unfortunately I don't have it. Probably is, you know. Oh, I'll definitely self admit that because I'm not super informed to it of what I do know from when the start of this when I was listening to everything of some deaths being like occurred, but it's obviously I think not really the majority is like the issue here. You know. But then again, and they could of course say, well, you know, this vaccine, you know, you know, if you're going to make that argument for the COVIDs and whatnot, then why can't this kid, the vaccine perpetuated this boy's death, you know? And so it's hard for me to sort of like conflate the two things and have a solid argument really to say that, you know. And if you have one, you know, that would give me more ammo in that regard, because it's a hard one to really sort of retort, because you want to do that. If you're ever having a conversation with somebody like that, you kind of want to know your stuff to a degree.
Could you like repeat the argument in question, like in summary, to me again?
So like you said, Ed, how like there's certain things like having like bad breathing problems that could be enhanced with COVID. Could also kind of almost be the same argument that this with the vaccine, that this person with this kid with bad breathing problems might have died more so with the vaccine. Now you could say, well, I would like to hear what you have to say when it comes to like that form of argumentation that could definitely pop up.
Well, I think that even doctors who encourage using the COVID vaccine will say that, hey, there are some people out there, a very small number of people who can't get the vaccine because they are immunocompromised. And it sounds like if you have a breathing problem, you may fit into the category of being immunocompromised. So, I mean, yeah, it's a tragic situation, but this is like one of those like fringe examples of a person who maybe should not have gotten the thing. But that's the thing, is that the media will hyperfixate on this like fraction of a fraction of a fraction of people, and it gives the illusion that this problem is like more prominent than it actually is. There was this one thing like before 9/11 happened, there was this like phenomenon in like the summer of '01 called the Summer of the Shark, where the media was like actively reporting on shark attacks happening all across the country.
Mm-hmm.
But the data actually showed that shark attacks were at like an all-time low. But the media coverage gave the illusion that, oh, like it's an epidemic out there, whatever. But it's kind of been lost in time. It's been like lost to time because of 9/11, kind of greatly overshadowing the shark attack stories.
But yeah, you're not wrong when it comes to like how media can overblow something, and sharks are a very perfect example. And I mean, we have like certain things like, of course, or somebody gets a shark attack, and like it could have just been like fucking in them like seeing a shark, and then that be considered an attack, right? And then you have movies like Jaws that didn't exactly help this particular thing. Great movie, but not really something that really helped sharks in any way, because it allowed people to have an unreasonable fear towards sharks. Like having unreasonable fear is definitely, whenever like I tend to argue, because I know you're like avidly against like Muslims and whatnot when it comes to their own religion. But like when I tend to argue,
I mean, like I wouldn't put it in that terms. I mean, like I'm very much against the religion of Islam, the same way I am against the religion of
exactly. That's what I'm saying. And so like when I try to say like people's irrational fear of Muslims, that they're gonna suddenly go like blow you up or something, is very irrational as well. Because this doesn't happen often. It really doesn't. You're likely going to get stabbed by your neighbor white boy Jim than you are going to be blown up in a particular mall. That's
well, to kind of like jump onto that for a moment. I mean, like, yeah, there definitely are a lot of Muslims in the world who do hold what I would consider radical ideas. But in the context of America, like Muslims are actually more liberal leaning than some of the Christians are. Like, there have actually been statistics showing that like at least compared to like the white evangelical population, Muslims are more supportive of the LGBT community. That's one thing. And if you look at like data on terrorist attacks, there's a higher number of attacks committed by white right-wing, like white nationalist groups relative to these fundamentalist Islamic groups. So, but of course, people like are not going to focus on that as much as they will the Muslim attacks, because like they're kind of they look more where white people will more blend into the overall population. Muslims seem more exceptional to the population.
Well, it's the same argument with the sharks, right? Where you can just pinpoint this very small, minute amount of things. Like 9/11 wasn't exactly something to scoff at, right? Or any of these other terrorist attacks. Nobody really saying that. But these are things that are very overblown and whatnot to a certain degree, where it makes it seem like this is like a natural thing that happens with Muslims. And I mean, like, sure, certainly in their own countries and whatnot, they believe in a lot of quacky stuff. But just as you said, Ed, a fair proportion of Muslims believe in LGBT, which isn't something that's generally practiced or preached over there in their countries. They tend to have a lot of other scuffed laws over there when it comes to that. Because and that sort of almost goes all the way back to sort of the argument of like where white people are like the white genocide type of dealio, and whatnot, where people don't seem to believe that people like Muslims, people like Mexicans, or whatever the case may be, we'll use Muslims in this case, can't integrate into our society, and that's why it's very bad that the white people are becoming a minority, which is like a very truthful fact. When I made when I reacted to JonTron versus Destiny and whatnot, and he made all that stuff. There's actually somebody at the end there. He didn't really have time to. He really left before, or he was able to retort anything I said, because he was somebody who just came to my stream and was like, "Oh, you're somebody who's gonna be who's for the white replacement, like good luck to you, boy." And then because I always ask anytime when any of these things happen, like, what's the point? What is happening? What's the problem? Just like with JonTron, whenever he was pressed on this question, like whenever he was saying that, white people are going to be a minority, and when Destiny was saying and because that's true, and you want to know why? Because guess what? White people and black people, when they intermingle, they create a mixed person, which isn't considered white or brown.
That's the thing, is that if you follow the logic of what they're saying, it's like technically it would also be a black genocide, because you have a person who's a combination of two different races. But I mean, like there is no logic at the root of all of it. It is all just complete bullshit.
Well, yeah.
But that's the thing, is that you'll find in these conversations that, be it Vosh or be it Destiny, have with these members of these groups, it's as though they haven't thought about this issue beyond one or two questions. Like the minute Destiny's on question 3 with them, they fall apart. They have not thought beyond that point.
Well, yeah, like I said, I went over the video, and I could definitely remember bits and parts where, JonTron was he seemed very nervous throughout the conversation, because he was so, because, the tactic of, the nervous laughter, oh, you're one of those, huh, where it's like, oh no, you don't have anything else to say. He couldn't for the life of him answer why it would be bad for white people to become the minority, because again, there's this idea, and people unfortunately believe this idea that when white people become a minority, that suddenly this will mean that black people will rise up and they will sort of do the reverse Jim Crow, and then they will that's why people are against critical race theory or whatever, where they think that this is gonna make sure the white people are put in their place, seen as bad. And which is always strange, since even when I was in middle high school and whatnot, I remember learning about all the fucking awful things that the white people did to black people. And honestly, those lessons gave me a lot of what my worldview is, of empathy, and I had a weird obsession with black people, back then because of that. But I mean, it allowed me to sort of, intrinsically look at myself and see how other people had it. But then, of course, my viewpoint sort of increased then, of all these other systematic issues, because obviously, middle school, high school brained me only really saw the harm that I could physically see, Rosa Parks being thrown off a bus, MLK being assassinated, all these types of things, where I saw good people, where I took MLK's "I Had a Dream" speech to full heart, where even if I had a friend that was like, "I don't like gay people," I'm like, why? Because I intrinsically had that in my core, of not really judge somebody based off of any sort of intrinsic characteristic that they have, and based off their character. That's a real easy way to determine how somebody is, because to invoke evil on somebody is such, based off anything other than if you know relatively for sure what they happen to be, is just such a silly sentiment for me. I don't know.
No, by the way, this might be a bit of a hot take right now, but there is a paper that I wanted to share on stream if that's cool with you.
A paper.
I don't think that it's an accident that it's like Republican-leaning people who tend to be the most like avidly in support of this notion of like immigrants coming to destroy your way of life.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna put a link to it in chat, but I'll pull it up on stream here as well. So this was a paper.
I can pull it up. It's not one of those things, so I can.
Oh, okay.
I should be able
cool,
to pull it up here.
But yeah, this is a paper that was published by the American Psychological Association. This is back in, I believe, 2003 when this was published. I could be wrong about the date, but yeah, this is again from the American. Yeah, it is from 03. But it did like a psychological survey into people who lean conservative. And the part I wanted to pay attention to is if you scroll down a bit lower to the part where it says a meta-analysis, that's where it's pretty interesting in my opinion. It's on line 3 of the abstract.
Oh, okay. Do I need to? Oh, hold on. I'm just being dumb. Oh, never mind. I am just stupid. Okay. How do I access this?
Uh-oh. I think that you're good. Yeah, I just leave it on this page. This page is sufficient.
Okay.
But
oh, the abstract. The abstract. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you'll see there on line 3, it says a meta-analysis confirms that several psychological factors, variables, excuse me, predict political conservatism, and those include death anxiety, system instability, dogmatism, and intolerance of ambiguity. They're also, you'll see it's like a negative for openness to experience. And they also are not tolerant of uncertainty, order, and structure. And you'll also see further down, it says that they have a heightened fear of threat or loss. So a lot of these like biases that they're showing in this research would kind of align with the fear of immigrants. This whole idea about your system being unstable, intolerance of ambiguity. I mean, if you have like a more diverse range of people in your country, there's more ambiguity in your country. And you'll see it's like, again, like a negative for openness to experience. So, if you have different people, you're going to have like newer experiences, which you will be less open to on average if you're conservative. And, with new people coming into your country, with new policies, new changes, that leads to uncertainty, and they have a negative for tolerance of uncertainty and fear of threat and loss. So they have a heightened fear, or they feel more threatened by new experiences. So if you see people that look foreign to you coming into your country, you may interpret those people as being a threat to your way of life.
Yeah.
So it is interesting research into like the psychology of why people tend to align to the parties that they do.
Yeah, this is definitely very interesting because, like, I've had a couple of conversations with people because, again, I try to do that a little bit to like understand like why people think, because some people, like when it comes to Muslims, for example, like have unreasonable sort of things, and I ask, just again, you just ask simple questions of why, like what is the reason, that they have a ideology that's bad or whatnot? Sure, but they're only bad because of how you particularly don't really know if they're going to be bad or not. Like it's like what this is particularly saying. Like it's very it's interesting because these are definitely things, because I know a couple of conservatives. Let's see. Shade says that reminds me of a lot about people with Asperger's and their need for routines and familiarity. Bad.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
I know that. Yeah, like with people with Asperger's, or I think that autism is like the term they go with now medically. I know that that's like one element, but I'm not sure if the additional stuff mentioned in here is also part of autism. So this seems to be kind of like distinct from that. But either way, yeah, there is a lot of research out there into the psychology of people, be them conservative or liberal or whatever. And I think that like this research kind of helps understand like, why people vote on certain issues, or why they're motivated to vote in certain ways on certain issues.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah. The thing is, like, with that routine and familiarity, I'm so bad at saying that word. Um, I do think a lot of people tend to have that particular trait. Honestly, like, the thing is that I think the fear of the unknown is really there. Even I would argue outside of conservatism and whatnot. It's just generally how people deal with that unknown variable, and and when it comes, like, I would even assume with people like Asperger's or whatnot, when suddenly somebody who is not really in the in crowd comes in to your crowd, it becomes very awkward to a degree. At least that's the way I see it, as well as sort of like anything that sort of is weird to like the way you go about stuff. Like if I especially believe that this would be the case like for conservatives if say like a new policy was implemented where you had to like not say racist things or whatnot, when you might some people might say that they're saying these things as jokes or whatever, but because these anti sort of this types of policy, or with how the Me Too movement brought in a lot of these anti-sexual harassment stuff, which included stuff like jokes. You get into a lot of places where people are there. Good night. Sid Vicious. You have a good one.
Well, I think that one of the differences there is that I think that, yeah, you are correct that in general, when people like see something like new and unfamiliar to them, it is, I think, common to an extent to kind of be wary of that kind of thing. It seems like compared to conservatives, people who are liberal have an easier time adjusting to changes in this world. You find that people that are more liberal leaning are more willing to try even things like as benign as a new kind of food. And yeah, there is research on that issue as well. There actually is one paper out there, and they did this one test where what they did is they had people sit down at a computer, and when on the computer monitor the letter M appeared, they were supposed to press like a button on the keyboard in front of them. So that was when the letter M appeared. However, when the letter W appeared, they were supposed to not touch the keyboard. And it seemed like people who were more liberal leaning were better at like pressing when there's an M and not pressing with a W. However, people who are more conservative leaning had a higher tendency to press the keyboard when W happened, even though they were not supposed to. So it kind of indicates like even when it's something as simple as like not pressing a keyboard button, like even that they had trouble like adjusting to a change that they were supposed to like react to.
I wonder if if a test like that, I think it's a wonder because it would depend and on a lot of factors, and I think that because I mean like Shade was saying with Asperger's, I wonder if people with Asperger's would be the W crowd out as well. Like something like that kind of is interesting to me. On maybe something like that is outside, but I mean like going on this like adjustment thing, I think that's very strange to me is that say my workplace, and like this is very anecdotal, so not like intrinsic to the data, but
yeah,
my old workplace shit changed a lot, and it had nothing to do with like political stuff other than the COVID stuff. But the thing is that people who work there still did it. And lots of those people, I live in an incredibly, and when I say incredibly, we voted for Lauren Boebert, okay? Incredibly fucking conservative place, okay? Hey, and my workplace was filled with them, who believed in all the fun things you believed, but yet they were able to still be able to deal with all these intrinsic changes that the company had put out, instead of doing the way you did here, like everybody bitched and moaned and complained, but they still did it eventually. Like, there wasn't any sort of stand your ground or, this shit's awful type of dealio when it came to any of these changes, and yet still passed. And even when it came to the COVID shit, like I don't exactly remember hearing on the news that I don't work there currently, but my roommate does, and he would probably tell me if there was some sort of march to the workplace about these changes in particular when it came to COVID, and yet I don't hear any of that shit. So it's like it's very strange, where they see certain things are very awful to their intrinsic forms of change, and yet they're able to change their lives enough when it comes to whatever work they're in that gives them a particular change that they have to do, that they're able to basically suffice with that, albeit with some bitching and moaning, but they know it's going to be the inevitable, so we just, complain or whatever, but they don't storm out, they don't say not my CEO or some shit. They just deal with it. Like, why? It's strange to me that these people don't exactly do the same thing when it comes to these other intrinsic changes. Like our changing of demographics. Like all these things that inherently aren't nearly as sort of drastic to the way you go about your routine as like how your job might fucking have you do one thing and then make you do something completely different. It's again anecdotal, but it's just an observation that is very intriguing to me, that they can deal with all these other changes without really much fuss, and you don't see any government agencies like these actually, to be fair, I think Fox News people saying about the COVID mandates or whatever, but not these other intrinsic changes that happen all the time throughout workplaces. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I can't speak very much to your experience. I mean, I'm not there to observe myself, but you did mention that the people that you work with predominantly did vote for Lauren Boebert, right?
Yes, yeah. You probably can understand how Lauren Boebert's kind of worse than Trump, kind of, so.
I mean, she is a libertarian. I know that they're very anti-taxation, very anti-regulation. But it sounds that the people that you're working with are probably more libertarians than your typical social conservative.
The Trump type. Do you know? I don't know. The thing is, I don't know her policies, but she says a lot of wacko shit on Twitter that you normally see a Trump say, which is why she's on the same level of nuts. She's somebody who says a bunch of radical stuff. I could probably pull up her Twitter right now and probably come up with something.
Oh, by the way, I just remembered there is an amazing clip. I mean, I'm guessing you already saw this before, but maybe people in the chat haven't. Have you seen the clip from the Libertarian Convention talking about driver's licenses?
Libertarian. Oh, am I spelling this wrong?
All right, here I'll pull this up and then you can play it on stream. So what happened here was that at this one hotel they had the different candidates for the Libertarian Party answering different questions from the crowd. And one question that popped up was should you need a government license to drive a car? And here's what happened. But yeah, it's in the chat.
I think I feel like I've seen this one. Oh, Gary Johnson. Oh no, this poor guy.
Everything you need to know about the Libertarian Party.
Oh no, the last time I saw Gary Johnson, he couldn't answer something about Syria. Oh no.
Yeah.
That was when everybody was like, "Oof, that's a candidate that's oops, that's probably not going to happen." Let's see. I just have to do this. Oh no, not that. Buckety boo. There we go. Bippity boppity boo. There is the screen. Now let's play this good old meme. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, play.
Should someone have to have a government-issued license to drive a car?
Hell no. What's next? Requiring a license to make toast in your own damn toaster?
Oh no.
The license to drive? You know, I'd like to see some competency exhibited by people before they drive.
Oh my. Oh, okay, so Gary Johnson was the only one who was actually like reasonable there. Oh no. Oh,
he's the one that got booed, though.
Oh, no,
Like, they
no,
all booed
oh
him.
no, oh no, 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 no. Oh, Lord. Yeah. Like, oh no, we don't want the government to do anything with us, bruz. No, like, issuing driver's license, that's cringe. Or gun licenses, no, we want everybody to just be able to do whatever the fuck they want, you know? That sounds like a fun thing.
But yeah, like the history of libertarianism in America, at least, is a pretty interesting one. Did you know that like libertarian was originally a left-wing term?
I feel like, yeah, because I mean, like, lib in like libertarian, like liberal, you know, I can sense that probably they had something to do with each other.
But yeah, like unfortunately, over the course of like of the 20th century, like the word more and more began to get associated with people that didn't really care about liberty in general, like, you know, liberty to have, you know, like clean drinking water, liberty to have, you know, healthcare. It was more like, you know, liberty to have like a giant corporation where you can just like have control over other people, and, like make a bunch of money. That's what like libertarian came to mean over time, and also liberty to like not have a driver's license.
Well, yeah.
But like one of the people that kind of orchestrated this like transition from like libertarian being a left-wing thing to a right-wing thing was this one right-wing thinker named Murray Rothbard. And he wrote this book called The Betrayal of the American Right. And one thing he said in there was this. He said, "One gratifying aspect of our rise to some prominence is that, for the first time in my memory, our side, had captured a crucial word from the enemy. That word being libertarians had long been simply a polite word for left-wing anarchists. That is, for anti-private property anarchists, either of the communist or syndicalist variety. But now we had taken it over." So yeah, it is interesting how, like, you know, like this is how kind of how language evolves. Like certain people will like take over a word from a rival group because like it's in their political it's in their political advantage to take over that word.
Yeah, that is the truest true of like plenty of words out there of their evolution. Like definitely like libertarian just seems to be that one. And like I'm not somebody who knows. I mean, Shades, you said you were like center libertarian, didn't you? Kind of like I may be wrong about that, but I mean, you know, I was gonna ask if maybe you would want to come on and maybe sort of explain like your sort of side when it comes to that. If I'm wrong there, I could be wrong there. I believe that's what you said higher up here. I could be incredibly dumb, but I believe you said that that's what you were there, and
yeah,
you know this could be a opportunity for you to come on the show. Mainly use libertarian in a very literal sense. Okay, well, if you wanna hop on here, you know, I will go and give you the good old dusty invite.
But going back to the whole idea about like, you know, co-opting language, like taking over a definition of a word. I mean, you mentioned earlier critical race theory and how like this idea, which was like a very like, you know, fringe notion, like practiced it in like universities, like at a college level, has kind of been like taken over to mean like any talk of race in the classroom that is now considered critical race theory.
By the way, the call's gonna become a little wonky because when I invite Shades, it's the way Discord works and whatnot, but should be fine.
I see.
Okay, you still there, Nate?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay, and now Shades is here, and now I just have to adjust
to this.
Just my Discord thing so that we can have everybody be showcased here. And if you
Long time no see, Nate.
Yeah, long time no see. How you doing, man?
Not doing too bad. Had kind of a busy day dropping some documents at my mom's, then going to the gym, then eating.
Sounds like a fulfilling day then. Very good. But yeah, where should we go from here? Want to talk more about libertarianism or?
Yeah, basically, you know, I should clarify, I'm not exactly the most knowledgeable about libertarianism, but I mainly use it as more of like a, people do what people do kind of thing. So, a very literal sense.
I think that I can understand why like the word libertarian is appealing, because like, I mean, when you think like, I think that it's so intrinsic, especially like in the American context, like view this whole like, you hear the word liberty and you think like, oh, that must be good. But like if you look at like at least like what the Libertarian Party is advocating for, a lot of it is like detrimental to the overall well-being of people's lives. I mean, like, like it or not, taxation does fund a lot of important projects in this world. And if you look like the happiest countries in the world, these are countries with like very high taxes. You look at countries like Sweden, you look at countries like Norway, like they have very high taxes, which are used to fund things like, their healthcare system, their schools. But like these are all things that libertarians would call evil that need to be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, I brought you on here to see if you want to talk about what libertarian really means to you, Shades. Because, when we give ourselves labels and whatnot, which is, that tends to be, like, not particularly the best thing to certain extents. But, like, when you give yourself a label, it could mean a myriad of different things. I mean, like,
right.
like when I heard classical liberal being said by a lot of people, back in the day, like that gives.
I was one of those people. I was one of those people that used that label, and I kind of still am. I don't know.
Well, like it's classical liberal almost seems like correct me if I'm wrong. Like it seemed like to me like secret conservative. I don't know. Like that's what it felt like to me. Like we didn't want to call ourselves conservatives. I'm not saying you did this shit, because again, that's what I'm saying with labels and whatnot. Because it sounds like a more like something that appeals to people more so. It's why like people like Dave Rubin, like we were talking about before, called himself a classical liberal. Who else like called himself that?
Milo Yiannopoulos.
Yeah, Milo Yiannopoulos was also a classical liberal. You can see where I'm getting from this, right? Where it seems like it's a better sounding term than like conservative or right wing or whatever, and like it has some sort of appeal to maybe even people that are more liberal, because you're saying you're a classical liberal, So
yeah. I mostly see it as kind of a way to differentiate yourself from certain types of people on the left and whatnot. I think that's mainly where a lot of people were coming from with that at the time.
Yeah, well, like the thing is, like when it comes to like even left, you have like again some people who say that on the left, they call themselves libertarian. You have your liberals, you then have your progressives, and you have your far lefts, and you have some people who might even go into cuckoo land and call themselves fucking communists, there's definitely people who are labeled various things.
This is exactly why I try not to place too much emphasis on labels.
And I think that's like a decent thing, but it's easy for us to sort of recontextualize what our feelings are and try to find like a bubble that we might particularly place ourselves in. But like, Nate was going on about like the whole history of libertarianism and how like that bubble like has changed really over time to mean certain things. It's like it makes it harder to really sort of really try to identify as something. Like even like a term like centrism, which to many people is like I'm somebody who has this belief and that belief on various sides and whatnot, but it's become a lot of a catch-all term for somebody who like says a lot of things but absolutely has nothing to say or something like that. From what I feel was that how centrism feels to me is people who sort of play devil's advocate a little too much. People who like really sort of like engage in very weird ways with certain things that that I think is like. Because obviously nuance is like, I've had plenty of conversations with you, Shades, of the importance of nuance, but sometimes, there are like certain viewpoints and opinions that I feel like, definitely should be something you should be able to say instead of try to conflate both sides as almost the same. If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do get what you're saying, but you're kind of describing what I've always seen as being the straw man of what it actually is. And personally, it gets on my nerves a bit, and that's why, it's not really a conversation I like having all that much. I think you probably understand that from personal experience, from conversations that we've had.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Of course. Ours, and I think we've had a fair little bit of conversation when it comes to that, and it's one of those like annoying conversations for sure that can happen, especially if there's a certain amount of disagreement. I'll definitely put on my hat with you, as I did with Nate here. Any conversations anybody has that we don't have to dive deep into, that's of course the case. Hey, same with you. Because this is not a blood sports type of situation. We're not here to viciously disagree with each other. We can disagree, obviously.
Yeah.
That's fine. But this is cordial. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Like, this isn't 2014 when everybody would just freak out at everybody all the time.
Let me just invite the boys so that we can engage in Troll Posse 2.0 right now. Let's go on. Let's go. No.
I was actually thinking about that. A while ago, I remember looking back at CDS's YouTube channel, and there were all of those videos of these.
Yeah. By the way, you're welcome for basically sort of motivating him to unprivate everything.
Wait,
me?
Wait.
No, I'm talking about me.
Who motivated who?
So, a couple of years ago, this was back in 2020. You guys know Mort Alhuman, right?
Yeah.
Me and him were having a live discussion on my channel, talking about, the community and all that. And we talked about a lot of, old school things and whatnot. And I guess Doodle Sauce caught wind of the stream. He leaves a comment on the video saying, "Unprivated, keep trawling." And I'm like, oh my God.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice. Did it.
But yeah, I was going to say that looking back at a lot of those Skype arguments, they were designed not to actually breed a fruitful conversation. They were deliberately made to just make the most shit-flinging go on as possible. You would have a call with 5 or so people who all hated each other, and it's the conversation's only pertinent to who the people in there. Why are the rest of them in there? They're only in there because they can help facilitate more shit-flinging.
That's why sometime along the way, I honestly kind of compared the shit to Drama Alert in that sense.
I mean, it was like a discount Drama Alert at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It was bring on people to get into a fight, to get clicks. Not many clicks in the long run, but yeah, for the time being, that was whoa, the big ranter community brawl session area.
You have a couple things like that nowadays when you have panels of sorts. I have listened to plenty of panels that because of the way panels are, where you have 9 people or something, and just wanting to get a word in. There's always going to be somebody there that's a little bit more on edge than other people. Or you have somebody who, like Destiny, who really likes to ask somebody a question and really enjoys them fucking squirming in and whatnot. There are definitely things like that. But definitely, I think it's nice to have decent conversations, especially if it happens to be with people you disagree with. I take for example, a conversation with somebody that I would say I disagree with completely, that Destiny had with this very stringent Australian anti-vaxxer type of dealio, and. This was just a couple days ago, right? It's a 2-hour conversation, and revolved around the thing, and it was a very nice conversation. If you listen to it, it was really nice, and Destiny gave a lot of his pushback and all that stuff. It was definitely something that people got a decent bit out of, and I think a lot more people got of what Destiny was saying and whatnot, I would believe. But a lot of people are yeah, this was a conversation they like to hear, and people say they like hearing the nice conversations, all that stuff but I'm sure all these same people would definitely love it if suddenly we all engage in a cage match or some shit and whatnot, because that is entertaining, You know,
I mean, the fact of the matter is, like, blood sports are quite profitable. People like love to watch shit fling back and forth. Like, look at like the viewership on these videos from be it Destiny or Vosh or whoever. Like, people want to go there and see a fight.
Well, yeah, when like any of these people, or you have a place like the Ralph Retort, or Ralph Rapport or whatever the hell his name is.
Ralph Retort.
Yeah, the Ralph
Speaking
Retort.
of which, have you seen the picture of him? He got beat up recently.
Oh, poor guy. I don't know if I advocate for that. It depends on why he got beat up, I guess. Oh,
he got mugged, and he got mugged by people in Portugal.
That's not great. I don't know. Sometimes I feel bad for that boy because I'm like, I hear like he had to cancel like this thing with Destiny because he had some sort of health problems. Like the thing is, I think it's still valuable to have empathy for people. I think that there's a lot of value to that. It's why it's good to try to understand why people believe the way they do, and try to really sort of center why. It's why one of the most like wonderful things that I witnessed Destiny do was when he talked to a father who was anti-vax. And he was, he read what he read. He was confused. He wasn't like this political figure, but he talked to this dude and like told him like, no, that's not the case, and all these other things. And the father seemed to come off that conversation of like, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right in this sense, because if you ground people, and not like consider certain individuals dumb, except this love face fucking spam bot. You can consider that dumb all you want.
Oh, is this the same account over and over again?
It's a different one because I have been hiding a user like that from the channel, so they're either making new ones or I don't know. But
I've just been clicking remove.
Yeah, that's what I do. Oh, and whatnot, and you do it faster. When I'm in the middle of a conversation, it's great. That's why having moderators is fun. But
But going back to the whole idea about having civil conversations, there's this one concept in psychology called the rider and the elephant analogy, and the whole idea is that like we like to think of ourselves as these completely rational, logical, logic and reason, so and so agents of our minds, but in reality, our decisions, our behaviors largely dictated by our emotion. So in the analogy, like the rider is your rationality and the elephant is your emotion. And at the end of the day, the rider appears to be in control, but in actuality, like the elephant, your emotion, is much bigger, much stronger. So if you want a person to change their mind or, sway their opinion in your favor, you need to win over that elephant before you win over the rider.
Well, yeah, exactly. You don't want to like when I said when I had that conversation with this right winger who believed that Muslims were not great. The way I went about that conversation wasn't to immediately call them like the most bad person. I immediately just said, hey, there's no reason to like fear these types of people. There's definitely some things that are purported about them. You just lay down just simplistic stuff. That anybody, it's why one of the problems with the left, right, is that they're too academic speaking, when it comes to a lot of these issues. Oh, God, I'm hearing my stream.
Uh-oh.
That's fine. I think it's over. But the academics with a lot of these issues try to explain things in ways that, not to say people are dumb, but like a lot of people, like lots of people we know don't understand a lot of these things intrinsically. How like a lot of our society is, what's the term? Like institutional racism, for example, or another sort of thing like what's the other type of racism that's really hard to explain?
I wonder if most people even know what the term logical fallacy would mean. Like if you were to ask like a stranger in the street like what that means, I'm not sure if they could give you a clear answer. So yeah, it is important to like simplify his ideas so that the average person can comprehend them.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like using like the term fallacy. Again, going back to like one of the OG conversations here about like the old YouTuber type of stuff. Like UTF was somebody who constantly used big ass words that I'm sure like most of the audience were like, oh, what? what? But they're like waving and agreeing and whatnot. Because I mean, in like, while it kind of worked for him to a degree because it made him sound intelligent. The thing is, it doesn't work when you're trying to talk to like various folk around where you can, where you know where like one of the things that I think you showed when it came to this is them losing something, which is why you have a lot of people who are against these things to fight against climate change, where people are working in the coal mining stuff or various things that are very intrinsically would be against the whole idea of trying to fight climate change. Instead of saying, get solar or go over there, or whatever the fuck, there is a way to very like reasonably explain to people like that there are better pastures that will equate to a more healthy sort of future for yourself and your children. Because overall, that's what a lot of people want. Whether you're conservative or liberal, that tends to be the overall overarching goal. It just obviously, in order to like come with the similarities of goals, we need to really sort of breach that divide. And I'm sure plenty of us here more or less agree with certain avenues to do that. But in order to convince people, you have to try harder than really sort of attempting to engage with people like they're stupid, because that's something you just don't really do. I think.
Part of the uphill battle, though, is that people, I think that a lot of people at least have like an innate desire to conform to their surroundings, conform to whatever group they're part of. Like if you think about it, like when you think of people who are conservative, you think of things like, for example, being pro-gun and maybe anti-abortion and anti the idea of climate change being real. Like these three things have like next to nothing in common. Like, what connection is there between those three things? And yet because they've all kind of become ingrained as like conservative positions, people want to move into them to conform to their group.
Well, yeah.
I wanna go back to something that you were saying, Skull. Because before Nate started talking, I was like, oh my God, there's a saying that goes very in tandem with, whatever it was you were saying. There are two kinds of people, basically. People that want a discussion and people that want to fight. Right?
Yeah.
That's very true.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is that I do find that, well, it was like what Nate was saying, right? We all have this intrinsic elephant that's within us all that really wants to burst out and fucking stampede everywhere, right? But I recall, because when I was at work, I listened to NPR a lot, and they had this little show. I forget what the fuck it was called. Was it This American Life? I don't know. Oh, they had something that was like really interesting because it was a way to sort of put people. It was a way to prove how you can like if you go about a disagreement in a certain way, you can sort of flip the switch basically. Like they went on about like a very intrinsic example. Again, I would have to find the sort of story that they told because it was like an hour long. I think it was very interesting. Where their first example was, basically this person who was like severely angry in a bar, being a rabble rouser, and then you had the like person A that's like, bruh, shut the fuck up, and then you had like person B go, hey dude, have a beer, where the sort of adjust to position was like this person who was like kind of crazy was like, what? Okay, and sort of like really de-escalated a situation. And then like their overall story happened in Belgium. And
wasn't there a commercial for like Pepsi that was very similar to that?
Maybe.
Oh,
maybe that the problem with that is that's not how you want to breach divides. That's how you want to cringe divides. But like what was happening in Belgium, if I can go on this story for a little bit, is that they were having problems with youth converting into ISIS and going to places like Syria and all that stuff. And the way that was going about it and the way people were handling it was to just endow hatred towards people who were Islamic. You know, that's the way that a lot of younger people thought and how they were preached to. This is how people get radicalized as well when it comes to any of these things, because they were preached to that look at all these other people, look at all these infidels or whatever the case they might call them. Look at all these people. They're saying that you're filth, you're waste, you know, you're a murderer, you do all these things, you know. Oh, and like when you have like people who go into these sort of what are the places that go into mosques that, you know, infiltrate and just tend to like put things into these young people's brains where like, yeah, you know, there's a bunch of these, you know, other folks that are telling me that I'm a awful, terrible person, that I'm somebody who's gonna blow up this thing, or I'm gonna kill children, and then like it becomes intrinsically in their brain that they maybe should be that, maybe they should be this type of person, and so they go and join ISIS. They were having this intrinsic problem in this particular city, but then and this was only happening to young people, mind you. All the older Muslims, this is not a thing you would see them converting to ISIS, because, you know, oh, they're older and they have more knowledge, and young people are most susceptible to that stuff. You know, that's what, same thing you could say for white nationalism, probably to a degree. You know, and why the same sort of advice would be given here. But then, you know, they sort of use the tactic of trying to address the community in a way that allowed for like the police to sort of more so get understand what's going on with these young Muslims and try to get them on a particular path, as well as have particular individuals within the community to try to preach this particular idea that no, these people aren't that, and to try to erase this idea and really sort of preach the idea that, you know, you're as much of a good person as fucking Jeff over there, you know, because of how important something like that really intrinsically is. I'm sorry for the ramble, but I mean, like, shit like that is like very important.
What you do.
It is what I do, yes, but I do ramble a lot. But like, yeah, you guys can have the floor for like fucking 2 hours now. Hold on, I'll just sit back.
Yeah, you should see him in the Discord calls that we sometimes have with others. He will
How
just
often do you have those?
It's not really me. There's like
myself and Atticus the Death Metaler, we have this thing where we sort of alternate every other week having a VC in our servers and whatnot. He'll Skull will sometimes join them whenever he, you know, whenever he can, and a lot of the time he really goes off a lot.
Hey, you know what? No one interrupts me. You know, it's just it happens. Yeah. You know, I go on a very impassive speed, and again, you know, if I go on for too long, you can stop me. You know.
But, I mean, but I don't
like live stream. There's like a private Discord hangout.
It's a private Discord chat, you know, to hang out, which is why I think like something like that is just nicer to do than like a big ass fucking like Google or Hangout, probably.
Especially the kinds of Google Hangouts where people would post the link to join.
Oh yeah.
And then everybody would be just barging in, and it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and you can.
God, yeah, those are the days. Is like Hangout even a thing anymore? It seems like largely forgotten. Discord and Zoom.
I don't know.
I haven't been hearing anything about it. Like ever since YouTube dropped the Google Plus thing, I feel like that's kind of went away with it, I think.
I don't know.
Yeah, it feels
like... I haven't searched for it, so I can't exactly say that's the case. But I think I've just been mainly seeing people have these types of conversations more so in Discord. Primarily, I think because Discord, I think, is just like a more convenient method to do a lot of this stuff in. Because you can have a one-on-one call, you can have a group call, and whatnot. And...
kind of go boomer here for a minute. I gotta say, it is interesting watching like the evolution of live stream tech over time. I can still remember back in like 2011, 2012 being on Skype. And I remember like if you were to actively press like the hang up call button, you can actually make a person's computer crash or make their software crash for Skype. And it feels like so unheard of now for like a program to be that clunky. But yeah,
It took a little bit of convincing for me to like get Shades into the Discord sort of meta, but you know he got there and he's staying there, I guess, because Skype is not really like a thing
Like
anymore.
I'm still
Like
I still have my Skype. If anybody wants to do something there, they can. But Discord, I would say, is more flexible, I think, than Skype was.
Well, yeah, you're allowed to curate your own server and like all that stuff, and being able to deal with that type of thing. Like I still need to do that, like for myself, more or less. And you know, obviously, you have a lot of you want to curate your own like community as well. You definitely don't want like too many people who are on the cuckoo train a part of it. You know. Oh, but that's like the only difference really between Skype is that, you know, you have your own communities that you're able to really do. And of course, all the other flexibilities, you know, having a little bots here and there that you can add, you know, to bring some flavor and all that stuff of having the way you want to design your own particular server.
It's sort of like on how, like on your computer, you have folders that have folders in there, that have folders in there, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's just nice and convenient, you know, to be able to do that, you know, to be able to engage in a conversation and call, and to shoot the shit, you know, in a relatively private way. And obviously, like right now, you can still use Discord for live streams because it's that like versatile as well, you know. You do need like other things, like if I wanted to showcase my camera here, like,
and it's not letting me play.
Nope, that's just my end. I think I just had a slight internet issue. That the stream should be back on now. Definitely we'll get that fixed later. Oh, good, we have our same friends that love to show up
You
here.
know, there we have another one of those fuckers. Stop.
Most avid fans.
If only my most avid fans weren't that, you know. But you know,
hide user on this channel.
Luckily, I think it's like the same user, so you just have to click it on one of them, and so it just like it deletes all the messages that they post. I think.
I think these are different bots.
Oh shit, they are. They're like on multiple accounts. Holy shit. Well, yeah, if we want to call it here, we've been going on for like what I can't really tell because I am.
It says 3 hours down there.
3 hours.
3 hours. An entire Lord of the Rings movie.
Hey, you know what? You know, that's a lot. And I definitely appreciate both of you coming on. You know, you both sparing the time to talk about whatevs. You know, definitely. Oh, they're back again, you know. What was it that PewDiePie said? Your views gives me extra cash, whatever. But that's not really the case because I'm unmonetized. But you know, Jesus, they're just going off. It's like they're hearing, and they're like taking to the challenge. Holy shit!
I've always wanted to know what attracts bots like this.
It's because it works, unfortunately. It's because it works. These would never happen if it didn't work. Because they're trying to get you to click on their particular things and like to go to particular websites.
No, what I mean is what is it that attracts the bots to come over to places like this?
I assume
like places like your stream specifically.
It has to be whatever in their programming like they search for like any live stream, right? And like I would assume that's probably even done for even the bigger live streams. It's just they have, of course, like moderation teams that are fucking zap, gone, goodbye, and they might even have the power to IP ban. I don't even know, but you know,
it reminds me a lot of whenever there was that whole thing where a bunch of small channels were getting these comments on their videos saying "wanna be friends."
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
There's always some new technique to try to scam people into going to a site or, you know, paying for some kind of service, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really bad. Like these things showed up a lot on like the bigger streamers' channels, and like they had like a lot of view botting too, where they just upvoted their own shit. Like that was awful. Like I can't imagine. Like even as a big streamer, or you know, you saw that constantly, and I'm sure they were like frustrated with that stuff obviously they don't want their audience to fucking click bad links or whatever. Like, holy crap. God damn it. But anyways, again, I appreciate both of you. Appreciate you both having the time. Definitely willing to have this type of dealio happen again. We only had some slight, issues here or there with the stream or whatever, but that's bound to happen, I guess. But again, appreciate both of you being here. Nice to talk to you again, Nate. Always interesting to talk to both you and Shade when it comes to various things, for sure. And are there any closing thoughts you guys want to have before I end the stream? Shoot them off.
Get the vaccine. Get the booster shot.
True.
Do what you can to make it through life and whatnot. And, whatever it is that you gotta do, go and do it.
Yeah. If you need to kill that bitch, do it. I'm kidding. Don't do it. If you're really thinking of killing that bitch, don't do it. That's illegal. Yeah. You can, of course, find Nate at NateTalksToYou. Fuck, I'm terrible at advertising. Hold on, advertise yourselves so that I don't fuck it up. Like,
you can find me. You can find all of my videos at loveface.xyz. This is where I will do whatever you say. So yeah, please go there. You can find all of my great content.
Also, he's also available at NateTalksToYou/OnlyFans. Also there too.
Only Nate.
Only Nate. Yeah. Only Nate. It's just that's his website. Wouldn't that be? You should trademark that. You Shades.
Yeah.
If you wanna advertise yourself real quick before we
I don't know. Working on a script right now. Be on the lookout for that. Should be a fun one.
And where do we find you at, Shades?
Nowhere. I don't exist.
Okay, I guess RanterInShades YouTube channel does not exist. It's in the void, I guess. As neither does NateTalksToYou at YouTube.com exist either. That also is in the void. Oh, don't follow those channels. They're awful. But had fun. Would definitely do it again if you want to set up another time, and we have other topics to discuss. And catch you later, y'all. Bye-bye.